So things have changed in Rowing Australia, which have tended to pull every state together now. There's not the conflict that there used to be, state versus state. It's now a great approach to rowing, but not just with the top rowers, it's with the juniors as well.
It certainly is. You're right, yes.
It's fantastic. The under-23s and those teams all selected, everybody having a fair chance. And it's not just if you come from a particular club. If you feel that you can get the support of, your club captain from a club up in the northern part of New South Wales, you can nominate and go into the testing trials.
You can, yes.
And you stand a chance of getting into one of those pathway 8s.
Yes.
Male or female.
That's right, and that is the beginning, isn't it?
It is.
Of our talent pathway.
Absolutely fantastic.
It is. Oh, it's lovely that you feel that way, and it's interesting you mentioned the state, because I think representing your state still is a fantastic high-performance opportunity.
Oh, it is.
And in a month's time, we'll be back here for our National Rowing Championships, the Sydney International Regatta, which of course culminates on the Sunday afternoon with the interstate racing, which was so exciting last year in the centenary of the King's Cup, and will be incredibly exciting this year, the centenary of women's rowing. And last year, of course, I'm a bit biased. Last year, New South Wales taking out the men's 8 and the women's 8. And of course, we're hoping the women will be just as successful this year in their centenary year. So
and the youth 8?
Youth 8, yes, both youth 8s. It was very exciting. Never been done before in the history of Australian rowing.
That's right.
That was very good, but you should never rest on your laurels. And as you rightly say, state versus state is so exciting and such an amazing opportunity for high quality competition here in Australia.
Well, whilst the heading here is the New South Wales State Championships, I must admit it's a bit like World Cup 1, World Cup 2 and World Cup 3.
Very exciting.
This is the Australian Championships in another form today, because I've seen so many single scullers and crews coming from right across Australia. Now, what happens to them once that's on today? Do they go away, or are they accommodated over here until the Australian Championships?
So yes, there are some overseas tours. So going across to the World Cup 2, which is in Varese in Italy, and World Cup 3 in Lucerne, for those who are wanting to go to the Olympics. And for those wanting to go to the Paralympics, they'll be going to the Varese World Cup and then the Gavirate Para International Regatta.
Well, I see that action's starting to take place down there at the start now.
Indeed, they're on the start line.
And also Mark Tejan's back here to keep you company for the next couple of hours. So all the best, Lizzie. I know you'll always do well at the National Championships.
Thank you. And we will, as a team. So let's talk you through who we're going to be watching racing in these 4 heats of the Championship Men's Elite Single Scull. So many heats. The first 4 will progress through to a semi-final and to be contested later today, and the rest will be eliminated, so it's fly or die. In the first heat in lane 1, we have Wilson Muir from Huon, coached by Johnny Dreesen. In lane 2, representing Mossman Rowing Club and the National Training Centre, Rob Black. In lane 3, representing Sydney Rowing Club and the National Training Centre, Spencer Turren. In lane 4, representing UTS and the National Training Centre, Hamish Playfair. In lane 5, Adelaide Rowing Club and NTC athlete Alexander Hill. In lane 6, from Sydney University Boat Club and the National Training Centre, Nick Purnell. In lane 7, from Mercantile Rowing Club and the National Training Centre, Angus Widdicombe. In lane 8, from Mercantile Rowing Club, Kane Grant, coached by Nicholas Mitchell. And in lane 9, representing Black Mountain and the ACT High Performance Programme, Luke Letcher. So we have a number of people racing here today who raced at the World Championships in 2019. Spencer Turren, who was in the men's 8, Hamish Playfair, who was in the men's quad, Alex Hill, who was in the men's 4, Nick Purnell, who was in the men's 4, Angus Widdicombe from the men's 8. We have Luke Letcher, who was the sculling and sweep reserve for the men's team for the World Championships and raced in the double scull at the World Cups. Luke Letcher from Black Mountain, he's in lane 9. Rob Black was in the men's 8 and had to withdraw as a result of injury. But he's back again this year. And Wilson Muir from Huon in lane 1, Kane Grant from Mercantile in lane 8 are aspiring under-23 athletes. Well, the race is off. If you look at your screens, you should be able to see that the race is now underway. From where we sit up in the finish tower, it's very hard to see them at all through the sheets of rain, Mark.
Yes, the rain's certainly very heavy driving out here this morning. I've just towed a trailer out here.
Oh, safely, thank goodness.
Safely, we got here, yes, just in time. We have one of our guys is racing in a heat at 10:30 this morning, so
had to get here.
he has time.
That's good.
It looks like a fairly even line across the course there.
It does, and it also looks as though the weather conditions are being kind to us at the moment. There's just a gentle cross headwind by the look of the flags. I don't know how accurate they are actually given the rain, but certainly fairly good conditions for this very important race where only 4 people out of the 9 racing will progress through to the semi-final. It's a very tough competition, and that's what you would expect really given the standard of competition and also the fact that this whole regatta does include some very important selection races for our Olympic squad. And we didn't mention which state people are from. So Wilson Muir from Huon in Tasmania, Rob Black in lane 2, Spencer Turrin in lane 3, Hamish Playfair in lane 4 are all New South Wales and members of the King's Cup squad. Alex Hill, of course, from South Australia. Nick Pennell from New South Wales, Angus Widdicombe from Victoria, and Kane Grant from Victoria, and Luke Letcher from ACT. So well represented from across the country.
And very close across the 500 metre mark there, with Hamish Playfair slightly in the lead at 1 minute 41.54, followed closely by Angus Widdicombe, 0.89 behind, and Alexander Hill, 0.35 behind. Then Luke Letcher, 0.32 behind, and Spencer Turrin, 0.29 behind. That's very close. Anything could happen with this one.
Indeed. So first to the 500, Hamish Playfair. Hamish, who of course was in the double scull earlier on in the international season last year and then raced in the quad, which came 4th in a very tight finish at the World Championships, qualifying the boat for the Tokyo Olympics later this year. And Hamish, I know, has his eyes firmly set on being in that quad and winning a medal for Australia in Tokyo.
And if I'm allowed to do a plug, we have a very proud mum rowing at Glebe.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
There we go. Of course you do. Yes, Julie. Yes, she must be very proud indeed. Hamish, who last year was unable to race internationally, it's so good to see him back and firing on all cylinders, back from that illness.
That still looks very close as they starting to approach the 1,000 metre mark.
But the placings starting to sort themselves out. It does look as though there are four people neck and neck for those 4 qualifying spots, and one person pressing up. Can't quite tell who that is, but pressing up closely.
Yeah. So Luke Letcher's crossed first, well, virtually in tandem with Hamish Playfair at 3 minutes 29, followed by Angus Widdicombe a second behind, Alexander Hill 0.19 behind, and Spencer Turrin 1.16 behind. So that's a very close field with those first 5. Yes. Any of them could certainly move up. There's a bit of a gap back to Nicholas Pennell with only 3.61, so he could also wind it up and do anything towards the end. And then the rest of them are so close. 0.67, 0.41, 0.38.
Incredible.
Quite a race.
Of course, we would expect that some of them will be doing some pushes, as we call them, as they come through the halfway mark. Certainly a big push there from Luke Letcher of Black Mountain, leaving nothing behind in this all-out attempt to make it through to the semi-final of the Championship Men's Elite Single Scull, fighting his way from 4th position at the 500 to 1st as they crossed the halfway line. Hamish Playfair having been just overtaken by Luke, Hamish previously in the lead. Angus Widdicombe also dropping back 1 place to 3rd, Alex Hill dropping back to 4th, Spencer Turrin maintaining his position in 5th place. So dropping back now, Nick Pennell in 6th, Wilson Muir in 7th, Kane Grant in 8th, and Rob Black in 9th, but really not much between those final 4 at all. So it's 5 people really fighting it out for the top 4 spaces, and as Mark rightly says, we should never underestimate what the remainder of the field, particularly Nick Pinnell, can do. They're now coming through the 1500 metre mark, and Hamish Playfair has regained the lead in this first heat of the men's elite single. Luke Letcher dropping back to second, but only by 0.08 of a second. Spencer Turren now moving from 5th up to 3rd position. Alex Hill in 4th, and Angus Widdicombe now sitting in 5th. Nick Pinnell in 6th.
And we can certainly see them as they come into the last 250 metres here. So over here in lane 8 is
Luke Letcher.
Luke Letcher.
Yep. So he seems to be maintaining that lead, doesn't he, as they come into the last 250?
Yes, and Hamish Playfair over there in lane 3.
Being challenged on either side, Hamish Playfair now by Spencer Turren, who in the light blue, the sky blue of Sydney Rowing Club, who is in lane 3, and on the other side of him, Alex Hill from Adelaide Rowing Club. Spencer Turren, a big lift as he comes through the last 200 metres, a big lift, pushing his way into 2nd position now, but Luke Letcher still remains in the lead. Hamish Playfair from UTS now sitting in 3rd. Alex Hill from Adelaide Rowing Club is now in 4th. 4 people will make it through to the final. Their position at the finish will determine what lane they get in the semi-final. Spencer Turren throwing everything at it now, squeezing his way or challenging his way into 1st position. Can he do it, or will Luke Letcher maintain his lead? It will be Luke Letcher who will be 1st into the semi-final. Spencer Turren will come in 2nd. Alex Hill will be 3rd. Hamish Playfair will be 4th, and a real sprint to the finish here from Kane Grant of Mercantile and Angus Widdicombe of, Nick Pinnell of Sydney University. Not sure.
And the rain's certainly not slowing them down with a winning time there of 7 minutes .03.79.
So photo finish for 5th and 6th, but we can confirm the 4 through to the semi-final. Luke Letcher from Black Mountain, Spencer Turren from Sydney, Alex Hill from Adelaide, Hamish Playfair from UTS. In 7th, Wilson Muir from Huon, Rob Black from Mossman in 8th, Kane Grant from Mercantile in 9th, and we're just waiting for that photo finish of 5th and 6th to be judged.
Well, it's a great way to start the racing today.
So what was that, 7:03.79? And the margins 2.25, 2.257 and 1 second. Okay, moving on to our second heat. They are sitting on the start line now. We have 5 minutes between races, which is pretty good. So that must be second race is on its way. Yes, second race is on its way down. Second heat of the Championship Men's Elite Single Scull. In lane 1, Sam Marsh from Swan River and the Western Australia Institute of Sport. In lane 2, Liam Donald from Mercantile and the National Training Centre. In lane 3, Sam Hardy from Sydney Rowing Club and the National Training Centre. In lane 4, Campbell Watts from Sydney University Boat Club and the National Training Centre. In lane 5, David Watts from Sydney Rowing Club and the National Training Centre. In lane 6, Ben Coombs from UTS and the National Training Centre. And in lane 7, Tim Masters from UTS and the National Training Centre. And in lane 8, from last year's double scull, David Bartolo from Sydney University Boat Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, coached by Don McLaughlin. So to the 500 metre mark, it was Campbell Watts of Sydney University in 1st place, Sam Marsh 2nd, David Watts 3rd, and then a gap of 2.5 seconds back to Ben Coombs of UTS, Tim Masters of UTS, Sam Hardy in 6th position, Liam Donald in 7th, and no mention there of David Bartolo. So I wonder what's happened to him.
But very close between the first 3.
Yes.
You could almost call a photo.
You certainly could. And again, it shows in that first 500, big, powerful man, Campbell Watts, leading the field. And then Sam Marsh with his very long legs and arms, again, another big human being in 2nd position.
And while they're underway, the third heat is underway as well.
Yes, and
But
again, another really exciting field. We'll run through that in just a moment because it does look as though it has been stopped and is awaiting a restart. Heat number 2. That can't be right. That
This
must
is
be
number
heat
2
3.
coming down
Yeah.
now.
Sorry, yeah, we've just had confirmation that it's not actually the race that has stopped, it's just a bit of a glitch with our computer, so we'll just be, as we look out now over the field, this race is coming through to the last 250 metres. Over there on the far side, you see big Sam Marsh from Swan River Rowing Club. He no longer has the lead, that has been taken now by Sydney University's Campbell Watts. And beside him, David Watts in the blue of Sydney Rowing Club. So Campbell Watts in the lead, David Watts looking as though he's sitting in second now. Oh, a big push from Sam Marsh now across on the far side.
I think David Bartholow on this side might also
and he's the man that wasn't listed before, but yes, he's putting in a really big effort now. He is here on the near side to the grandstand in the colours of Sydney University Boat Club. So 4 people through to the final. On the far side, Sam Marsh. In the middle, we have a battle going on between Campbell Watts and David Watts. And on the near side, David Bartholow from Sydney University. And the order in which they will cross the line looks like a photo finish to me for Watts and Watts in the middle, with Bartholow third and Marsh fourth. And just missing out from lane 6, Ben Coombs of the National Training Centre and UTS.
And unfortunately, due to the glitch, no time was taken, but we can see the margins. I'm not quite sure this is correct. We'll have to wait until the officials come through, because it did look to be a photo finish for the 2 boys out in the middle.
But we can confirm that the 4 across the line first, depending on whether it's a photo finish or not. First of all, either Campbell Watts or David Watts, they were the first 2 across the line. Third looked as though it was David Bartholow of Sydney University, NSW, and fourth Sam Marsh of Swan River and the West Australia Institute of Sport. So they're the 4 that will progress now through to the final. Sadly, the remainder eliminated: Ben Coombs and Tim Masters from UTS, Sam Hardy from Sydney Rowing Club, and Liam Donald from Mercantile. And it's just been confirmed Campbell Watts did win. He was first, David Watts second. No time taken. Otherwise in the order that I read out. So moving to our third heat of the Championship Men's Elite Single Scull. Again, the first 4 to progress to the semi-final. In lane 1, Paddy Holt from UTS and the New South Wales Institute of Sport. In lane 2, Jack O'Brien from Sydney University and the NTC. In lane 3, Angus Moore from Sydney Rowing Club and the NTC. In lane 4, Josh Booth from Melbourne University Boat Club and the NTC. In lane 5, Jack Hargreaves from Sydney University Boat Club and the NTC. And in lane 6, Simon Keenan from Melbourne University Boat Club and the NTC. In lane 7, Adam Backer from Commercial and the NTC. And in lane 8, a familiar face to all of us, our regular visitor from Team Vanuatu, Rio Ree, who is also listed as Queensland Academy of Sport. How wonderful. I know he's been training there since January and is a regular visitor there. So welcome to the Australian Academy system, Rio.
And through the 500 metres, Simon Keenan was in the lead. Followed by Angus Moore, 1.75 seconds behind, followed by Joshua Booth, 3.13 seconds behind, and Simon Keenan with a margin of 0.56. Then Adam Backer, 3.5 seconds behind that, followed by Jack O'Brien and Relio Ree.
Known as Rio.
Rio.
Just simply known as Rio, coached by Andrew McKenzie. Previously of the ACT, who's been in Vanuatu for a while now and doing a great job coaching out there. So we can see, looking down the course, halfway down the course where we've got the flags at the 500 metre mark, sorry, where the rowers are now by the flagpoles is the 500 metre mark. So coming through the 500 metre mark, we look as though we have on the far side a good position for Paddy Holt of UTS, young Paddy, who is making his way back from rehabilitating a knee injury, and is also eligible for the under-23 team. It looks as though Jack O'Brien, who is awesome at sweep, has dropped back a bit in the scull. Gus Moore putting in a very good showing there in lane 3. Again, Sydney Rowing Club sky blue colours. Next to him, but dropping back a little, Josh Booth from Melbourne University. Jack Hargreaves of Sydney University looks as though he is challenging Angus Moore for the lead. So that's a good battle between the New South Welshmen there for first position. Then we have Simon Keenan from Melbourne University, and Rio and Adam Backer from Commercial, and then dropping back a bit, Rio from Team Vanuatu. A good push coming from Paddy Holt in that yellow Empacker single over there on the far side. He's putting in an excellent performance here in this last 250 metres.
Again, very close between the first 3 in this occasion. Gee, the semis and final are going to be exciting for these boys.
They certainly are. This is world-class competition. Josh Booth cranking it up now as he comes into the last 100 metres, but it's being matched by Simon Keenan of Melbourne University. They're both chasing the final spot for the semi-final. Only 4 can go through. The winner will be, from lane 5, Jack Hargreaves. Second will be Gus Moore from Sydney Rowing Club. And then it looks as though Paddy Holt, a photo finish between Paddy Holt and Josh Booth, but those 2 will make it through to the final, and just missing out Simon Keenan from Melbourne University. 6th will be Adam Backer from Commercial. 7th will be Jack O'Brien from Sydney University, and rounding out our field, and give him a big cheer, Rio from Team Vanuatu and the Queensland Academy of Sport.
And interesting to see Jack Hargreaves just virtually stopped rowing a couple of strokes before the line he knew was there.
And sadly, again, no time taken. So hopefully the national team coaches I can't see anybody on their bike, but hopefully somebody's taking some times over there. But the all-important thing in these first rounds is to actually get through to the semi-final, so confirming that 3rd heat through to the final is Jack Hargreaves of Sydney University, Angus Moore of Sydney Rowing Club, Paddy Holt of UTS, and Josh Booth of Melbourne University. Boat Club just waiting for the photo finish between Paddy and Josh to be judged. Missing out then Simon Keenan of Melbourne University, Adam Backer of Commercial, Jack O'Brien of Sydney University, and Rio of Team Vanuatu.
And Heat 4 is well underway. They've come through the 500 metre mark with Cameron Girdlestone from Sydney University in the lead, followed by Caleb Antill from ANU, NTC, followed by Jack Cleary. He's in lane 7 from Western Australia, is it?
Yeah, Western Australia Rowing Club, I believe.
Lizzie knows all
West
these people
Australia,
far better than
sorry.
I. Dara Alizada from UTS is in lane 1, came through in 4th. Alex Purnell from Sydney University came past in 5th and lane 6. Joshua Hicks from Sydney NTC is in lane 3, came through in 6th. And Peter Purcell Gilpin from Sydney University is in lane 8, came through in 7th. And Nick Lavery from UTS NTC in lane 2 came through in 8th. But the margins again, in this one at 500 metres, we're starting to spread out a little bit, but anything could happen. We're now through the 1,000 metres. Caleb Antill has come through in 3 minutes 25.55. Cameron Girdlestone is right there, 0.13 of a second behind him. Then there's a bit of a gap back through to Jack Cleary of 4.11 seconds. And he's going neck and neck with Dara Alizada. Then a couple of seconds back to Alex Purnell, followed by Joshua Hicks. Alex is showing up twice here.
Yes, that'll just
Yeah.
be somebody pressing the wrong button in the,
Yes.
in the timing towers. It's very hard when it's an important race and there's a lot of pressure on you
Yes.
to get the buttons right, because each person has 3 buttons, and sometimes there's only one person in the timing tower, which means you've got 9 buttons to press. So
I have done
you
it.
need to be an
I
octopus
sat on
plus
the
one.
finish line here once with all 9 buttons to press, and about 5 8s crossed the line together.
Nightmare, nightmare.
There was only one hoot.
So in lane 1 we have, representing UTS, Dara Alizada, and I know he's not a familiar name to most of us. UTS, of course, as in any big city around the world, welcome people from a number of countries to come and row, and Dara has represented the US at under 23 level, and most recently Bermuda at the World Championships. So that is who we've got in lane 1, and that is why he's putting in such an excellent performance. At the 1,000 metre mark, he was sitting in 4th behind Caleb Antill, multi-medalist, of course, for Australia, and Cam Girdlestone, also a multi-medalist and a silver medalist from the Olympics in Rio in 2016. At the 1,500 metre mark, Cameron Girdlestone has overtaken Caleb, and there is now 0.45 of a second between them. Jack Cleary from West Australian Rowing Club, who of course is at the NTC this year and fighting for a place in the Olympic squad, he has been sitting consistently at 3rd behind those other 2. Alex Pennell has now overtaken Dara Alizada, and you would expect that he would put in a good performance, because he has been a member of both the sculling and sweep squads at the National Training Centre ever since the training centre first started. He's always a surprise package, I think, Alex Pennell. Excellent oarsman, and very much a team player. He can go into any boat and really help it perform. So Caleb Antill and Cam Girdlestone battling it out for 1st position in this all-important 4th heat of our championship men's elite single scull. There are only 2 other places, and at the moment chasing those are Alex Pennell from Sydney University, Jack Cleary from Western Australia. They're in lanes 6 and 7, so Jack wearing that distinctive red of West Australia. And then across on the far side from UTS, Dara Alizadeh, who obviously is using this as preparation for his own Olympic selection. And I've got to say that Josh Hicks of Sydney Rowing Club putting in a very good effort indeed. He's currently sitting in, what would that be, 6th position, but he looks as though he's going to challenge for 5th. So the sprint for the line is on, and Caleb Antill is now 3/4 of a length in front of Cam Girdlestone, but I'm sure Cam is playing it carefully and he's going to save some of his energy for the semi-final later today. 3rd will be Alex Pennell of Sydney University, and 4th Jack Cleary of West Australia and the National Training Centre. 5th Josh Hicks, 6th Dara Alizadeh, and Nick Lavery from UTS 6th, Peter Purcell-Gilpin of Sydney University coming across the line in 7th. Have I got that right? Yes. And
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, sorry, Peter Purcell-Gilpin represents Zimbabwe and is shortly going to be contesting the single scull slot for Zimbabwe in their Olympic trials.
And the winning time of 7 minutes 06.71.
So we've got
So
2
all
heats with no time.
Yes, but the ones we have times for, it's all very close.
7:03 and 7:06. Here we go. Right, we are going to move away from elite and Olympic level now, and we're going to move to juniors, starting with the Championship Women's Under-19 Single Scull. This is sponsored by Fluid Design Australia.
And again, we have 4 heats. So we should see some very exciting racing here as well. So through the 500 metre mark, Sophie Gerber from Toowong is in the lead by 1.58, followed by Olivia Cook from Rockhampton Grammar. And we just lost the time, followed by Sarah Abrams. So quite a distance back between Sophie Gerber and Olivia Cook. This is through the 1,000 metres now. So Sophie Cook is in the lead by seconds. No, 4 minutes. Followed by, getting a little confused here. They come
4
across it
minutes,
at 4 minutes,
6.17, that's
0.6, but it's
Yeah.
12.25
Wow,
seconds back
big
to
lead.
Olivia Cook.
Yeah.
So Sophie's well in the lead. Sarah Abrams a second behind. Amy Taylor, 3.7 behind her, in coming in fourth place from Griffith University. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Eddie Brown from Nepean, who's 3.89 behind, and Charlotte Ryan from Capital Lakes is coming in sixth place.
Yeah,
So-
and looking down the course, it's a bit grim. It's hard to tell, but it does look as though only 6 people have actually turned up, 6 or 7 have turned up for the race. No, 6. So it looks as though in the race we have, in lane 1, Amy Taylor of Griffith Uni Surface Paradise currently sitting in 4th. She's coached by Lincoln Handley. In lane 2, Charlotte Ryan of Capital Lakes from the ACT, coached by Neil Smith. We do have in lane 3, Edie Brown from Nepean Rowing Club, coached by Daniel Waddell and Jason Waddell. We seem to, yes, we've had a withdrawal from Sophie Malcolm of Centenary, who was to race in lane 4, and it does look as though Lara Sweeney of Carey Grammar has probably also either withdrawn or not turned up. Currently in the lead, Sophie Gerber of Toowong is in lane 6. She's coached by Andrew Gerber, Leo Karadimitris and Kieran Dwyer. In lane 7, Sarah Abrams of Sydney Rowing Club, who's coached by Brendan Longman and Donovan Check. And in lane 8, that's closest to you on the path, and the grandstand is Olivia Cook of Rockhampton Grammar, coached by Robin Fay. So most of the action coming from the side of the course nearest the grandstand, with Sophie Gerber of Toowong in 3rd lane out, lane 6, in the lead.
Very comfortably, 13.58 seconds
Oh,
ahead.
she's extended her lead at the
Yes.
500 to go, yes, and she looks as though she's going to wind it up for the finish if needed, but if not, just sit there in the rain and just get in and get dry.
Perhaps you'll start singing in the rain.
So
But-
4 from this heat will progress through to the semi-final, and as with the previous race, the remainder will be eliminated.
So the real race here is going to be on for 4th place between Charlotte Ryan from Capital Lakes and Amy Taylor from Griffith University, where there was 0.32 of a second as they came through the 1500 metre mark. Otherwise, there's a fairly comfortable spread for the other 3 of Sophie Gerber from Toowong, Sarah Abrams from Sydney, and Olivia Cook from Rockhampton Grammar.
I think that somebody again might have pressed a button twice, because we've got Charlotte Ryan down here twice, but looking down the course, I think that's Edie Brown of Nepean Rowing Club, who's currently sitting in 4th position, or somewhere close to 4th, challenging Olivia Cook. Yeah, so Olivia Cook is across there on the, Amy Taylor of Griffith Uni Surface Paradise, is it, in lane 1? Yes. And then, I think that's Edie Brown of Nepean. She's certainly done well in all of our local regattas, so you'd expect her to be up here at the state champs.
And Sophie
Wow, look at
Gerber
that
looking
lead. Sophie
very
Gerber
comfortable.
looking very good indeed. Yep. Couple of lines and she'll be safely across the finish line, and the first person to qualify for the Championship Women's Under-19 Single Scull semi-final. Congratulations, Sophie, a time of 8 minutes 33, but she looks as though she could go a lot faster than that. Similarly, leisurely, from lane 7, Sarah Abrams of Sydney Rowing Club, who will come across the line in 2nd position. And in lane 8, Olivia Cook of Rockhampton Grammar. And then it will be lane 3's Edie Brown of Nepean Rowing Club, who will take out the 4th and final spot for the semi-final in our Under-19 Women's Single Scull. Amy Taylor, unfortunately, missing out, Griffith Uni Surface Paradise, after a very plucky row all the way down the course. And Charlotte Ryan from Capital Lakes will round out our field of 6. So finishing time was 8 minutes 33.40 seconds, the margin 20.08.
And race 6, the second heat of the women's under-19 single scull. In lane 1 we have Lily Gavin, coached by Brendan Longman and Donovan Check. from Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 2, Claire Robinson, coached by Lindsay Callahan and Charlotte Toos-Cutler from Penrith. In lane 3, Laura Gooley, coached by David Gelly, Hallie Chapman and Alex Field from UTS. In lane 4, Laura Cypher, coached by Robin Fay from Rockhampton Grammar. In lane 5, Jordan Nichols, coached by Gary Anand from Tweed. In lane 6, Laura Jane Irving, coached by Emily Drew from Kerry Grammar. In lane 7, Danica Free, coached by Duncan Free from Griffith University, Surfers Paradise. And in lane 8, Lucy Hope, coached by Leo Karadimitris, Kieran Dwyer and Andrew Gerber from Toowong.
And coming through the 1,000-metre mark, it's Laura Gourley from UTS who is in the lead. She has continued the lead right through to the 1,500-metre mark as well. And she must be leading by some considerable distance given how long it's taking for the next few to crop up. Sitting in second, Lucy Hope from Toowong, who's in lane 8. Lily Gavin of Sydney Rowing Club sitting in third. Danica Free of Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise in Queensland is in fourth. And Laura Cypher of Rockhampton Grammar is in fifth. Carey Grammar's Laura Jane Irving from Victoria is in sixth position.
And again, quite a distance between Laura Gooley and Lucy Hope at the 1,000 metres, where Laura was 12.4 seconds ahead. Followed by Lily Gavin, then Danica Free, and then there's a nearly 5-second gap through to Laura Cypher. So, and as we can see on the field, it could actually be a race for fourth place, but I think over there in lane 5.
Yeah, hard to tell, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
So again, it's a great lead, isn't it? Laura Gourley looking very good indeed.
Very comfortable.
She's in an empacker. Yeah, coached by Dave Geely, of course, who's been the women's coach there at UTS for quite some time now, and is also the coach of our lightweight quad in New South Wales, and has guided a number of young women through junior, under 21 and under 23 level and into the senior level. We'll see some of his young charges race later on in the regatta. Emma Fessy and Georgie Rowe in particular, Georgie Masters in the lightweights. Big win there for Laura Gourley. Congratulations to UTS. That's a fine win. She's firmly established herself as another favourite for the junior women's scull. We've got lane 8 and lane 1 battling it out. Lane 8 is Lucy Hope from Toowong. She's been second most of the race, and it looks as though she'll cross the line in second, just ahead of Lily Gavin of Sydney Rowing Club. And fourth place will go to lane 7's Danica Free from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise, just beating out Laura Cypher from Rockhampton Grammar. So a bit of a Queensland battle going on there for that final qualifying spot. Congratulations to them both, a great race. In lane 6, Laura Jane Irving of Carey Grammar, representing her school and crossing the line in 6th position. Then lane 5's Jordan Nichols from Tweed will cross the line in 7th, and local girl Claire Robinson, young Claire Robinson from Penrith Rowing Club, will be 8th and complete our field of 8 scullers for the Championship Women's Under-19 single scull. So confirming, going through to the final, in first position, Laura Gourley of UTS in a time of 8 minutes and 9.44 seconds. Second, Lucy Hope of Toowong, the margin 12.04. In third position, going through to the semi-final, Lily Gavin of Sydney Rowing Club, and in fourth, Danica Free of Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise.
And Heat 3 is underway. In lane 1, we have Lila Anderton, coached by Lindsay Callahan, Charlotte Toos-Cutler from Penrith. In lane 2, we have Sophia Tully, coached by Andrew Gerber, Leo Karadimitris and Kieran Dwyer from Toowong. In lane 3, Sarah Fard, coached by Hallie Chapman, David Gelly and Alex Field from UTS. In lane 4, Sarah Bender, coached by Neil Smith from Capital Lakes. Lane 5, Jessica Malcolm from Centenary has withdrawn. Lane 6, Madison Portelli, coached by Liam Jackson from Carey Grammar. In lane 7, Grace Cipher, coached by Lachlan Carter and Donovan Check from Sydney Rowing Club. And in lane 8, Sophie Coleman, coached by Duncan Free from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise.
And at the 1,000-metre mark, it was Grace Cipher in lane 7, representing Sydney Rowing Club, who was in the lead. She had a 5-second lead over Sophia Tully of Toowong, who is in lane 2, so across the other side of the field. Sophie Coleman, so we've got Sophia Tully from Toowong and Sophie Coleman from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise. So Sophie is in lane 8, and she's sitting in 3rd. Sarah Fard of UTS was in 4th. Lila Anderton of Penrith Rowing Club was some 16 seconds behind Sarah Fard at the halfway mark, so it's pretty safe to say that those first 4 will be the 4 that progress through to the semi-final. It's just a question of which order they go across the finish line, which of course will give them good lanes, better lanes, allegedly, for the semi-final. So at the 1,500-metre mark, still the same 4 in the lead. Grace Cipher first, Sophia Tully second, Sarah Fard third, and Sophie Coleman is in 4th. So she's dropped back a bit, and Sarah Fard has moved up. And there's now 2.4 seconds between Sarah Fard and Sophie Coleman. So Sarah looks as though she's going to try and pick her way through the field as she comes into the finish line. Again, coached by David Geely at Sydney Rowing Club, and by Hallie Chapman, who is the development coach there. Sitting in 5th, still Lila Anderton of Penrith Rowing Club, and Sarah Bender of Capital Lakes in the ACT in 6th. Then we have Madison Portelli of Carey Grammar, and I think that's it, isn't it? Yes, we've only got 7 because Centenary's Sculler has withdrawn.
Yes, and the first 4 are clearly through. There's no battle to get into the final, or is this into the semi for this one? No,
and looking at their rate of striking, it looks as though they're saving their lollies for the next round, aren't they? So
yes, well, it was nearly 24 seconds back to the 5th place, so in the heat, you don't really need to push yourself too hard
really,
in that
especially
situation.
When you know clearly the semi-final, some of these semi-finals are going to be very hard indeed. Be interesting to see what the time is. So really, folks, you can't tell much from the finish time. The first heat was 8 minutes 33, but Sophie Gerber of Toowong was definitely paddling over the line. The second heat was 8:09, a little closer, but still the first 3 or 4 across the line were pretty much paddling. You can see in front of us now Grace Cipher of Sydney Rowing Club just raising her rate of striking as she comes into the finish line, probably doing a bit of visualisation of what she's going to do when it comes to the big race. Of course, we saw her sister, Laura Cipher, in the previous heat where she came 5th and just missed out. But I believe Grace is the elder of the 2, rowing at Sydney Rowing Club now, and a fine win there for her in a unofficial time of 8 minutes 31.93.
And she's followed by Sophie Tully over in lane 2, then by Sarah Field from UTS in lane 3, and Sarah Ben. Oh no, it's not.
Sophie Coleman.
Sophie Coleman.
Griffith Uni.
From Griffith Uni, yes.
Excellent. So they're the 4 that will progress through to the final. Semi-final. A lot more racing and excitement to come before that. So, Lila Anderton in the distinctive pink and yellow of Penrith Rowing Club coming across the line there to take out 5th position. I'm sure we'll see her back next year and probably contesting the semi-final. So it's really important to note that under this under-19 level, we have quite a few who are actually 17, 16, 15.
So Sarah Bender has just crossed the line, and she will be followed by Madison Portelli.
And what a lovely cheer. I've got to say, the Carey Grammar guys are giving great cheers for their colleagues who are out there on the water. That's fantastic, because it's a pretty scary thing to go out there in a single scull and race 2,000 metres. So well done to you, Madison Portelli, completing our field of 7, representing her school, Carey Grammar, with such pride.
And the fourth heat of the women's under-19 single scull has come through the 1,000-metre mark with Meg Cartwright from Corio Bay clearly in the lead by 4 seconds. Oh, sorry. No, she's not. She's come across in 4 minutes and is very closely followed by Zara Collinson from Sydney University, followed by Harriet Wallace from ANU, then Noni McCallum from, I'm not sure what LOS is, followed by Ava McLean
but
from
that's definitely South
Mossman.
Australia looking at the...
Yes.
I think it must be a Loretto something.
Then Claudia Downs from Capital Lakes and Lottie Adrians from Yarra Yarra. So
in terms of lanes, Noni McCallum is over in lane 2. Ava McLean of Mossman is in lane 3. Harriet Wallace from ANU is in lane 4. Meg Cartwright from Corio Bay is in lane 5. Lottie Adrians of Yarra Yarra is in lane 6. Zara Collison of Sydney University Boat Club is in lane 7. And lane 8, which is closest to the grandstand, is Claudia Downs from Capital Lakes. So through the 1,000-metre mark, Zara Collison has now pushed up into the lead. Zara Collison is coached by Alfie Young in the women's squad there at Sydney University. So good to see her pushing up. She is fairly new to the sport of rowing. And it's good to see her having a great battle there with Meg Cartwright. She's not only overtaken her, she's managed to put 5 seconds on her in that last 500 metres, which is pretty good. Noni McCallum has moved up from 4th to 3rd position, and Harriet Wallace has dropped back from 3rd to 4th. So a bit of reshuffling going on there amongst that first 4. There's then a gap of some 15 seconds back to Ava McLean of Mossman. And again, we're then moving back to some younger girls. So it looks as though those first 4 will remain the first 4. And a bit like the previous race, there'll just be a bit of reshuffling in terms of the order in which they cross the finish line and the lanes that they take in the semi-final.
And interesting to see the changeover in the margins, so the tactics of where they've pushed to give an extra drive to make sure that they get through. So they're into the last 250 metres, the leaders are into the last 250 metres. And it is Lottie Adrians, I think, from Yarra. No, it's a Sydney Uni.
Yes, it's
Yes,
still
it's
Zara Collison.
lane.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's a bit confusing from where we sit because the girl from Capital Lakes, Claudia Downs, is actually quite far back on the course. And we do have 9 lanes, so we've got 1 lane free. But Zara Collison in lane 7, managing to maintain her lead. A good steady rate of striking there, really thinking about her technique rather than worrying about racing too much. Some good, powerful strokes, so things bode well for this young sculler in the under-19, which is the junior category of our single scull races this morning. And then a great lift there from Meg Cartwright as she comes into the last 100 metres in the distinctive colours of Corio Bay, that sort of purple and yellow. I'm sure that's not what they call it. Apologies, Corio Bay, if you're listening in. But she'll take out 2nd position, so safely through to the semi-final, as is Harriet Wallace.
Noni McCallum.
From the unpronounceable LOS and CRC. If somebody wants to tell us who that is, but I definitely know it's looking at her coach, Tom Dornbos, it would be from South Australia. And our ANU sculler, Harriet Wallace, crosses in 4th, so she takes the final qualifying position for the semi-final. Ava McLean from Mossman Rowing Club, coached by Judith Ungermark, crosses in 5th. And our sculler in 8th, Claudia Downs of Capital Lakes. It's been a big race, but she crosses there, completes the race, well done. And then rounding out our field, there in lane 6, Lottie Adrians of Yarra Yarra, coached by presumably her father, Craig Adrians. Time for that race for Zara Collison was 8 minutes 34.05 seconds. The margins 8.05, 5.17 and 15.07.
And heat 1 of the men's under-21 single scull is rapidly approaching. In lane 1, we have Lachlan Tuvey, coached by Kieran Dwyer, Leo Karademetris and Andrew Gerber from Toowong. In lane 2, Angel Seidler, coached by Warren Rowe from Canned.
Yes.
Canned. I'm a bit unfamiliar with these. In lane 3, we have Alex Rossi from Western Australia. In lane 4, Alexander Sullivan, coached by David Vandis from the Uni of Queensland. In lane 5, Elliot Simpson, coached by Jack Hanley and Christopher Holliday from Sydney University. Luke Haas from Bucks in lane 6 has withdrawn. In lane 7, we have Max Pearce, coached by Franz Imfeld and Donovan Check from Sydney Rowing Club. And in lane 8, we have Johnson Daubney from Swan River. And in lane 9, we have Thomas Galloway, coached by Franz Imfeld and Donovan Check from Sydney Rowing Club
Sydney
as well.
Rowing Club, yeah. So
Yes.
Tom Galloway from Sydney Rowing Club at the 1500 metre mark is just 0.81 of a second behind Alex Rossi of West Australian Rowing Club and the West Australian Institute of Sport. So Alex Rossi, Tom Galloway battling out Johnson Daubney of Swan River and also from Wace sitting in third, just a couple of seconds behind, so what's that, about half a length or something. Lachlan Tuvey of Toowong is sitting in fourth, Alexander Sullivan of Uni of Queensland in fifth, Max Pearce of Sydney Rowing Club currently in sixth, and Angel Seidler of Canned in seventh. The time to the 1500 metre mark, 5 minutes 43 seconds. So they're really getting on with it, these under 21 single scullers. Only 4 of them will progress through to the final. As with the previous heats, again, the remainder of the field will be eliminated and we'll just have to get on with the other events in which they have been entered. As you can see, a fairly close battle here. So those first 4 again, Alex Rossi in lane 3, then back over to the lane closest to the grandstand, Tom Galloway from Sydney Rowing Club. Next to him in lane 8, the guy from Swan River, Johnson Daubney, and the crossover in lane 1, the Lachlan Tuvey from Toowong. So there, what we think of the first 4 certainly doesn't look as though they're going to be challenged, although Max Pearce from Sydney Rowing Club's having a great last 250 and having a good battle with Alexander Sullivan. No, that's not the Uni of... Yeah, it must be, yes, University of Queensland, Alexander Sullivan. Oh, blanket finish there, but Alex Rossi looks as though he has taken out the win. In the men's under 21 single scull heat, Johnson Daubney of Swan River second. Tom Galloway of Sydney Rowing Club just pipped to the post there by Johnson Daubney in a big push at the finish, and Lachlan Tuvey hanging on to the 4th position, so they will be the 4 scullers that will progress through to the semi-final. 5th, Max Pearce from Sydney Rowing Club. 6th, Alexander Sullivan of University of Queensland. 7th, Angel Seidler of Canned.
And heat 2 well underway. In lane 1 we have Riley Reese-Turner from Swan River, Western Australia Institute of Sport. In lane 2, Lachlan Dunn, coached by Mark Featherston from St George. In lane 3, Bailey Flecker from Western Australia Rowing Club. In lane 4, Miles Devereaux, coached by Franz Imfeld and Donovan Check from Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 5, Tom Riles, coached by Kieran Dwyer, Leo Karademetris and Andrew Gerber from Toowong. In lane 6, Clancy Doe, coached by David Vandis from the Uni of Queensland. In lane 7, Max Kossel, coached by Duncan Free from Sydney University Surfers Paradise. And in lane 8, Sam Setter, coached by Christopher Holliday and Jack Hanley from Sydney University.
So Riley Reese-Turner in lane 1, a member of last year's junior men's, I'm trying to remember whether it was Coxed or Coxless, Coxless 4 he was in, coached by Matthias Ungemach, the head coach and director of rowing there at Mossman Rowing Club, coached at Swan River Rowing Club and at the Western Australian Institute of Sport by Rhett Aliff and Jamie Hewlett, doing a fine job there over in the far lane, lane 1. Lachlan Dunn from St George in lane 2, also having a good battle. But it looks as though it's University of Queensland sculler Clancy Doe who has the lead as they come through the middle of the race, the 1,000-metre mark, with Bailey Flecker of WA sitting in second. Miles Devereux from Great Britain, rowing at Sydney Rowing Club this year, is sitting in third position. Max Kossel of Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise in fourth. Sam Seater from Sydney University, a visitor from the USA, is in fifth. Riley Reese-Turner in sixth. Tom Riles of Toowong in seventh. And Lachlan Dunn has just slipped back into last position. Very close across the whole field at the 1,000-metre mark.
So through the 1,500-metre mark, Clancy Doe has held his lead, but he's closely followed by Miles Devereux. And then it's very close back to Max Kossel from Griffith University and Bailey Flecker. Sam Setter from Sydney University has a good chance, only 1.65 seconds behind. Then it's 5 seconds back to Riley Reese-Turner, followed by Tom Riles and Lachlan Dunn.
So interesting, yes. So those bottom four are just stayed exactly the same, but Bailey Flecker looks as though he's either been overtaken when other people are having a push, or he's just starting to fade a little in the closing stages of the race, slipping back from second to fourth. So we're looking at Clancy Doe here in lane 6. So that's what, 1, 2, third row over.
Lane 6 and lane 4, so that's Miles Devereux. So.
Yeah. In the light blue of Sydney Rowing Club.
And they're all starting to push in this last 200 odd metres.
Clancy Doe looks as though he's just sitting there, maintaining his lead, looking relatively comfortable, definitely being chased now by Miles Devereux, who increases his rate of striking, sitting up, really sprinting. Very interesting that on the other side of him, Bailey Flecker looks as though he's maintained a nice, easy pace and is actually coming back really strongly in this last 100 metres. Clancy Doe, Miles Devereux fighting it out for the first qualifying position in this championship men's under-21 single scull. Bailey Flecker really sitting up now, powering down, really pushing down the legs and putting the power on coming into the finish. Lane 7 and lane 8 having a final sprint to the line, but it will be Clancy Doe who takes it out. Fine win there. Second, Miles Devereux. Third would be Bailey Flecker across the line, and the final qualifying position has gone to Max Kossel of Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise. Just missing out is Sam Seater from Sydney University.
And again, Heat 3 is well underway. So in lane 1, we have Cameron Glover from Swan River. In lane 2, Duke Gordon from Western Australia Institute of Sport. In lane 3, Dylan Rhodes, coached by Gary Annand from Tweed. In lane 4, Joshua Hobart, coached by Duncan Free from Griffith University Surfers Paradise. Torrin Olsen from Sydney Rowing Club is withdrawn. In lane 6, we have Aiken Brown, coached by Jack Hanley and Christopher Holliday from Sydney University. In lane 7, Liam Glackham, coached by Alex Field, David Galley and Hallie Chapman from UTS. In lane 8, Connor Hopkins, coached by Matthias Ungemark from Mossman. And in lane 9, Sean and Byrne, coached by Jack Hanley and Christopher Holliday from Sydney University.
So coming through the 500-metre mark, it was Connor Hopkins, strong guy from Mossman Rowing Club, coached by Matthias Ungemark. He had taken the lead over Dylan Rhodes of Tweed, coached by Gary Annand. Cameron Glover was sitting in third place, Aiken Brown in fourth, and Liam Glackin in fifth. As they came through the 1,000-metre mark, Connor Hopkins had just been overtaken by Dylan Rhodes, just by 0.6 of a second, so that could just be a push. But definitely the lead had changed hands, and Cameron Glover, whilst sitting in third position, is very, very close indeed. It's then a length and a bit back to Liam Glackham of UTS, who's in fourth position, having overtaken Aiken Brown. Duke Gordon is currently sitting in sixth, and Joshua Hobart of Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise in seventh.
So at the 1,000-metre mark, it looks like Dylan Rhodes, Connor Hopkins and Cameron Glover are comfortably ahead. They're followed by Liam Glackham at the 1,000 metres by 4.37 seconds. So that looks like a comfortable gap if they can hold it. Then Aiken Brown, Duke Gordon and Joshua Hobart. But they're about to come through the 1,500 metre mark.
So it does look, I'm just looking at our results there and thinking we're missing somebody. So it does look as though Shannon Byrne from Sydney University is not turned up. He was in lane 9, the one closest to the grandstand. Looks as though that's a blank lane there. So still relatively close as they come up to the 1,500 metre mark. Dylan Rhodes still maintaining his lead, but it's 0.2 of a second, so it has reduced a tiny bit. Connor Hopkins really chasing him hard there. Of course, there are different sides of the course, so Dylan is across in lane 3 and Connor Hopkins is close to the grandstand in lane 8 in the red and white hoops of Mossman Rowing Club. Cameron Glover still sits in 3rd, just a second behind Connor Hopkins, and Liam Glackin is back another 7 seconds in 4th position. He's representing UTS. Aiken Brown of Sydney University still sits in 5th. Duke Gordon of West Australian Rowing Club and Wace still sitting in 6th, and Josh Hobart of Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise still sitting in 7th.
And the race is going to be on to secure the 4th place to go through from Liam Glackham and Aiken Brown, where there was a margin of 1.8 seconds as they came through the 1,500 metres.
So Dylan Rhodes, you can see there in the colours of tweed with the sort of golden top, and he's in an Empacher yellow boat. And then across on the far side, Cameron Glover, who's been sitting in 3rd the whole way now, just lifting as he comes in. Oh, no, he's not.
No, he's not.
Looking really comfortable. I reckon he's playing games, isn't he?
I think he's just
did a little push and then just settled back down again. And then, of course, the red and white hoops of Mossman Rowing Club across on the side closest to the grandstand. So those 3 looking pretty comfortable. And just happy to get a lane.
Look at the run that Dylan Rhodes is getting on that boat. So comfortable.
So Liam Glackin, I'm pretty sure this is his 1st year of rowing. So obviously some real power there. Being coached by Alex Field, Dave Geely, Hallie Chapman. So as predicted, Dylan Rhodes taking out our 3rd heat of the men's under 21 single scull. 2nd, Connor Hopkins of Mossman Rowing Club. And 3rd, Cameron Glover of Swan River. 4th, Liam Glackin of UTS. Those 4 will progress through to the semi-final. Sadly, the rest of the names we read out are now eliminated from the event. That's Aiken Brown from Sydney University Boat Club, Duke Gordon of West Australian Rowing Club, and just crossing the line now, Josh Hobart of Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise.
And Heat 4 is again underway, so this is race 12. We have in lane 1, Finian Colley, coached by Trevor Barrett and Brendan Long from North Esk. Matt Smith from Sydney University has withdrawn. In lane 3, we have Gus Loffman from Western Australia Rowing Club. In lane 4, we have Miller Rowe is coached by Scott Rowe from Cand, which is Queensland. Yep. In lane 5, we have Lachlan Wilmot, coached by Franz Imfeld and Donovan Check from Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 6, Nicholas Miro, coached by Jack Hanley and Christopher Holliday from Sydney University. In lane 7, Chad Derricourt from Swan River. And in lane 8, Maximilian Crow, coached by Kieran Dwyer, Leo Karademetris and Andrew Gerber.
So through the 500 metre mark, it was Chad Derricourt of Swan River, recognised as being fairly talented. He'd come through in 1st place, and at the 1,000 metres he continued to lead, although only by about a second. At the 500 metre mark, it was Finian Colley who was in 3rd position, and it was Gus Laufman Miller Rowe who was in 2nd. But that's completely changed. Finian Colley is now sitting in 2nd. Gus Laufman is sitting in 3rd. He's moved up from 4th, and Miller Rowe has slipped right back to 4th position. Now there's only about a boat length between the 4 of them. But even so, it shows there's some real jostling going on there as we come through the 500 and then the 1,000 metre. Sitting in fifth position, Nicholas Miro of Sydney University Boat Club. In sixth, Maximilian Crow of Toowong. And in seventh, Lachlan Wilmot of Sydney Rowing Club. So, times we're looking at, the first heat was 7 minutes 41. The second heat was 7 minutes 38. The third heat was 7 minutes 37. So that is the time that Chad Dericourt is chasing. To be able to see just how competitive he might be in the all-important semi-final. First, he has to come through first, second, third or fourth, because the remainder will be eliminated.
And from up here, it does look that Chad Dericourt probably has the lead, but he's been pushed by Gus Loftman over there in lane 3, do you think?
I do, yeah.
And then lanes 4,
and I think
6 and 8.
So it does look as though Finney and Colley might have moved across lanes, because Matt Smith isn't in lane 2, so he might well have... oh, no,
yes.
sorry. No, there, it's very difficult to see, isn't it, because of the light on the water. There's Finney and Colley there on the far side in sort of white-topped zoot suit. Then there is a space. Then it is Gus Laufman having a good old battle with Miller Rowe. So Gus from West Australian Rowing Club and Miller Rowe from Cand and the Queensland Academy of Sport. But it is Chad Dericourt who continues to lead. No, it is not. I apologise. It's Finney and Colley of Tasmania who has now taken the lead over Chad Dericourt at the 1500 metre mark. Miller Rowe has now moved himself back up to third position, and Gus Laufman is hovering there by 0.01 of a second in fourth. It's still Maximilian Crow of Toowong in fifth, Nicholas Miro of Sydney University now in sixth, and Lachlan Wilmot of Sydney Rowing Club in seventh.
And it could be anyone between... as to who goes through in fourth and fifth place.
Yeah, Finney and Colley across on the far side from North Esk there, looking very good in the closing stages of the race, looking like taking out this fourth and final heat of the men's under 21 single.
Then it's between Gus Laughlin, Miller Rowe, and over here in lane 7, Chad Dericourt looks, yes, I think he's going to take second place. Could well be a photo between Miller Rowe and Gus Loftman, but those four are clearly through. Yes, it is Miller Rowe came third and Gus Loftman fourth, followed by Nicholas Miro.
Yes, and then
Maximilian Crow, and coming across there, Lachlan Wilmot.
So just confirming then, the first four across the line and progressing through to the semi-final were Finney and Colley of North Esk. In second position, Chad Dericourt of Swan River. In third, Miller Rowe of Cand and the Queensland Academy of Sport. And in fourth, Gus Laufman of West Australian Rowing Club. The provisional time, 7 minutes 33.9 seconds. The margins 2.35, 1.54 and 0.45. Just missing out in fifth position was Sydney University's Nicholas Miro. In seventh, next was Maximilian Crow of Toowong, and now they've just changed it on the screen, so let's call that one again. Fifth was Max Crow of Toowong, sixth was Nicholas Miro of Sydney University, and seventh was Lachlan Wilmot of Sydney Rowing Club, and the official time 7 minutes 33.87.
And race 13 is coming down the course. Now this is the first heat of the men's under 19 singled scull. So some of these are younger guys.
They
so
are.
15, 16, 17.
Correct, and it's only the first three through now with the remainder eliminated. It's a tough gig, this New South Wales State Championships this year. Tough gig indeed. In lane 1, Ballarat Grammar, Sam Crothersbade, coached by Paul Commons and Luke Pugno. In lane 2, Sydney Rowing Club's Gabriel Carmody, coached by Brendan Longman and Donovan Check. In lane 3, from Geelong Grammar, Harold or Harry Buffton. Ben Vickery from Hunter Valley Grammar School has had to withdraw, and that's a great shame because he has put in some fantastic performances over the last couple of months, and we're looking forward to seeing him race. In lane 5, Lucas Wigston representing Bucks from Tasmania. In lane 6, from Pembroke School, Nick Blackman, coached by Simon Lane, so that's South Australia. In lane 7, our local Penrith Rowing Club's Bradley Moran, coached by Charlotte Toos Cutler. And in lane 8, from Mossman Rowing Club, Jeremy Gategood, coached by Matthias and Judith Ungermark.
And through the 1,000 metre mark, we have Lucas Wigston from Bucks in the lead. A very clear lead, nearly 10 seconds, followed by Nick Blackman from Pembroke School. Then it's very close.
Back
Actually,
to Harry Buffton, isn't it?
yes, they've just come. Lucas Wigston's just come through the 1,500 metre mark in 5 minutes 27,
So
which
we're
is
now
pretty
going to have to
very
wait
fast
for at least 10
under
seconds.
19.
It is indeed. 15 seconds. He's got almost 16 seconds now over Nick Blackman of Pembroke School in South Australia. Harry Buffton from Geelong Grammar hanging on to third position. And then those are the top three at the moment. But Jeremy Gategood is very keen indeed to qualify for that final. He's representing the red and white hoops in the prawn suit of Mossman, and he's only 0.25 of a second behind at the 1,500 metre mark. So anything could happen in this last 500 metres. Sam Crothers-Bade of Ballarat Grammar is currently sitting in 5th, Gabriel Carmody of Sydney Rowing Club in 6th, and Bradley Moran of Penrith in 7th. So it's top three go through, the remainder are eliminated.
And Lucas Wigston, although he has a comfortable lead, he's just upped his rating by the look of it, just to make sure that he's going to get a good time, I think. Looking very comfortable while he does it. Bit of a battle now going on for second, third and fourth place. But it does look like our Mossman rower, Jeremy Gategood, is pushing through. Although in lane 6 there, Nick Blackman.
Still looking very good indeed, isn't he? Oh, Harry Buffton, he's just raised his rate of striking now as he comes into the last 100 metres. He's into the red buoys and he's taking it to Nick Blackman. He wants that position, but here comes Jeremy Gategood from Mossman Rowing Club and St Augustine's. They're all way, way behind Lucas Wigston of Bucks in Tasmania. A fine win for him, qualifying for the under-19 single. A real battle on now. It will be lane 6, Nick Blackman, a fine row there from him. And then third across the line will be Harry Buffton from Geelong Grammar. And sadly, Jeremy Gategood of Mossman just missing out, but a fine row from Jeremy. And we're looking forward to what he's going to do in the remainder of the regatta. Over in lane 1, Sam Crothers-Bade of Ballarat Grammar will have to settle for 5th. Next to him, from Sydney Rowing Club, Gabriel Carmody, 6th, and 7th across the line. 7 for lane 7, Bradley Moran from the local club, Penrith Rowing Club. Now, the provisional time for Lucas Wigston was 7 minutes, 22.86, so a fair amount faster than the 7:33 of the previous race. So well done to him. That's a fine time, and he won by 16 seconds over Nick Blackman, who had 1.49 over Harry Buffton. Heat 2 of the Championship Men's Under-19 Single Scull is on the course. In lane 2, from Nepean Rowing Club, Miles Harold, coached by Daniel and Jason Waddell. In lane 3, University of Queensland, represented by Patrick Long. In lane 4, from Cathedral School, Gordon Applecrin, coached by Stefan Muhlenberg. In lane 5, from Carey Grammar, Drew Lloyd, coached by Connor Bavage. In lane 6, from Mossman Rowing Club, Tom Gerrans, coached by Judith Ungermark and Matthias Ungermark.
Sorry, Lizzie got a little overexcited there. We're actually on race 14, heat 2. So in lane 2 we have
Let's have the right names.
Well, there's a glebe rower in this race,
Sorry, Mark.
So in lane 2 we have Josiah Smith, coached by Graham Nix from Manning River. In lane 3, Felix Oliver, coached by Paul Commons and Luke Pugnol from Ballarat Grammar. In lane 4, Tate Van Heemst, coached by Brad Smith from Glebe Rowing Club. In lane 5, Jared Lord, coached by Emmanuel Hatziano from Cand. In lane 6, Zane Catanese from Griffith University Surfers Paradise. In lane 7, Namkai Stilianu, coached by Brendan Longman and Donovan Check from Sydney Rowing Club. And in lane 8, Liam Taylor, coached by Lindsay Callahan, Charlotte Toos Cutler, and from Penrith Rowing Club.
And you'll be pleased to know then, Mark, that your Glebe compatriot Tate Van Heemst is in the top 4. So he's chasing that elusive top 3 position in order to get through to the semi-final, but looking pretty good. Felix Oliver has been leading right from the start. He's just crossing the 1,500 metre mark now in a time of 5 minutes 36. So as I say, he's led from the start. He's representing Ballarat Grammar of Victoria. Jared Lord in lane 5 from Cand is sitting in 2nd position, and he's been 2nd pretty much the whole way too. And Namkai Stilianu from Sydney Rowing Club, he is in 3rd position and has been sitting in 3rd, but he's some 13 seconds back from Jared Lord. And Tate Van Heemst from Glebe Rowing Club and Josiah Smith from Manning River have been chasing him the whole way. First of all, it was Tate, and now Josiah has overtaken not just Tate, but also Liam Taylor to sit in 4th. So definitely those first 3 being challenged. Liam Taylor of Penrith Rowing Club has worked his way up from 6th to 5th position. So we can see out on the course there, Felix Oliver of Ballarat Grammar sitting in lane 3, very much in the lead.
I think I can see Tate. He doesn't seem to have come through in the timing. So he's over in lane lane 4.
Oh yeah, there he is.
With the distinctive Glebe
So
white V down the back. So it's really between him and Namkai Stilianu. And Namkai has also rowed at Glebe Rowing Club, so there's a little bit of competition going on here.
So at the moment, Namkai, I think they're coming into the last 200 metres. Namkai's currently sitting in 3rd, but you're quite right. Tate is hanging on in there, representing Glebe Rowing Club proudly, and then Josiah Smith of Manning River in the blue boat on the far side.
And Josiah Smith over from Manning River is giving a good push through there too.
A nice win there for Felix Oliver of Ballarat Grammar in our 2nd heat of the Championships men's under-16 single scull. Jared Lord of Cand taking out 2nd position. There's only 1 more slot for the semi-final. The rest will have to settle for other events at this regatta. And the 3rd position will be taken out by Namkai Stilianu of Sydney Rowing Club. 4th, Tate Van Heemst of Glebe Rowing Club. 5th, Josiah Smith of Manning River.
6th will be Liam Taylor here in lane 8 from Penrith. And somewhere down there is Zane Cantonese in the yellow boat.
Oh, yes.
In lane 6.
So the provisional time for heat 2 was 7 minutes 34 compared with 7:22 in the previous heat. It's going to be hard to beat Lucas Wigston from Bucks, isn't he? But Felix Oliver of Ballarat Grammar, a nice race there. He won by a margin of 8.73 seconds, some 13, 14 seconds faster than Namkai Stilianu. So quite spread out, as you would expect. As we said before, although it's an under-19 event, it really is under-19, as in it's many different age groups and some as young as 15.
And we're on to Heat 3, where you've already called a few names, Lindsay.
So we'll just recap on that. Heat number 3. So we've got Miles Harold of Nepean Rowing Club over in lane 2. I'm pretty sure he took out the under-19 single scull last weekend at our small boats regatta. He's coached by Daniel and Jason Woodell, and I think he's another one to watch. Patrick Long of the University of Queensland is next to him in lane 3. Gordon Applecrin of Cathedral up in Queensland, coached by Stefan Muhlberg, is in lane 4. Drew Lloyd of Carey Grammar in lane 5. Tom Gerrans of Mossman Rowing Club in lane 6. Henry Furrer of Sydney Rowing Club is in lane 7, coached by Brendan Longman and Donovan Check. And Mitchell Caponis of Cranbrook School is in lane 8. So Patrick Long of Queensland had taken the lead at the 500 metre mark and maintained his lead by about a length at the 1,000 metre mark. Gordon Applecrid was sitting in second in the first 500, but he's just slipped back by about half a length behind Henry Furrer of Sydney Rowing Club, who's just overtaken him. Henry is sitting just over a length back from University of Queensland's Patrick Long. So we're looking at the first three. They are the three that will progress directly through to the final, and the remainder will be eliminated. So currently in fourth position, Miles Harold from Nepean Rowing Club. 1,500 metres has passed and Patrick Long maintains his lead over Henry Furrer of Sydney Rowing Club. Miles Harold of Nepean has now moved up into third position, overtaking Gordon Applecrin of Cathedral School. He's managed to get a length's lead over Gordon Applecrin, and now in fifth position is Mitchell Caponis of Cranbrook. In sixth position, Tom Gerrans of Mossman Rowing Club. And so we're missing somebody. We're missing Drew Lloyd of Carey Grammar School, coached by Connor Bavage. I think he's gone to... It looks like he might not be in the race.
And it looks like Henry Farrer from Sydney is pushing hard as well. He's going to keep Patrick Long over there in lane 3, very honest. In lane 2, Miles Harold from Nepean is making a very good effort, and then in the red boat, in lane 4, that is Gordon Applecrin, pushing very hard, but those four look like they'll be it's only the first 3, isn't it?
It is, and we've got this guy, Henry Furrer, who's here on the near side in the sky blue of Sydney Rowing Club. He's in lane 7. So he did better and better last week at the small boats regatta. Looks like he's got a bit of confidence here. He's clearly nice and tall, great long arms and legs, and now he's starting to wind up a little bit as we come into the closing stages of the race. Patrick Long looking very relaxed indeed in his University of Queensland zoot suit, and he will win Heat 3, but it will be Henry Furrer of Sydney Rowing Club who will be second, and it looks as though third will be Miles Harold of Nepean Rowing Club. He's managed to get a length and a half now over Gordon Applecrin of Cathedral. Provisional time for Patrick Long, 7 minutes 34 seconds. The margin over Henry Furrer 2.53, and then there was a further 6.25 back to Nepean's Miles Harold. So fourth across the line from Cranbrook, Mitchell Caponis. Tom Gerrans of Mossman will be 6th. And then our Carey Grammar, so wherever you are, Carey Grammar, you were great at shouting earlier on. Here comes your sculler, Drew Lloyd. Needs a bit of a cheer from you to get him over the line.
And very close times there between those last 2 heats of 7 minutes 34, only 0.76 of a second between them.
That's awesome, isn't it? Good cheering from Carey Grammar. So as I said before, it's a pretty scary thing to get out there in a single scull and scull 2,000 metres with the fear of falling in. And particularly when you're here at the New South Wales State Championships, where the standard of sculling is very, very high. A lot of people putting themselves in front of the selectors here, and juniors starting to make a decision as to whether they want to go for national team selection or not. So congratulations to the school scullers who are out here, particularly Drew Lloyd, representing Carey Grammar, who already get my vote for the most cheerful and loud supporters of the regatta.
And race 16 is underway. It's the women's under 20, first heat of the women's under 21 single scull. Again, it's only the first 3 through to the final. In lane 2, we have Sophia Carmody, coached by Lachlan Carter and Donovan Check from Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 3, Vivian Noonan from Swan River. In lane 4, Cara Brugard, coached by Renee Domashentz from Capital Lakes. In lane 5, Sabina Murchie, coached by Michael Russell from the University of Queensland. In lane 6, Laura Wunderlich, coached by David Geely, Hallie Chapman and Alex Field from UTS. In lane 7, Alicia Ward, coached by William Raven from Banks, and Laura Chancellor from Toowong has withdrawn.
So at the 1,000-metre mark, it was Sophia Carmody of Sydney Rowing Club who was in the lead. She had over a length's lead over Vivian Noonan of Swan River, who's beside her in lane 3. Laura Wunderlich of UTS, who's it's been really interesting to watch her over the last few years as Dave Geely has gradually developed her from a strong but slow sculler into somebody who's really starting to show some speed, and she's comfortably sitting in third now, just ahead of the University of Queensland sculler Sabina Murchie, coached by Michael Russell. And then it's back to Cara Brugode of Capital Lakes. She's sitting in fifth, but she's some 10 seconds further back, and from memory she is a little younger. And Alicia Ward from Banks Rowing Club in Victoria. Of course, their head coach is Will Raven of Sydney University Boat Club, much loved coxswain from the New South Wales state team squad.
So
great to see him take a head coach position over there, even if he has gone to the dark side. The dark blue side.
I was going to say it's going to be hard to call, but they seem to have spread themselves out now at the 1,500 metre mark, with Sophia Carmody having in a lead by 4.69 seconds from Vivian Noonan, who's then followed by Sabina Murchie in 3.03 seconds, and Laura Wunderlich by 2.26 seconds. So the battle's really going to be to get in the third place to go through. And at this stage, it looks like it's between Sabina Murchie and Laura Wunderlich, but anything can happen in this last 200 metres here, 250 metres.
Yeah, we've got a slight lift in the breeze as well, so that wind has come around from the rear of the course to being more of a crosswind, and we can see the flags in front of the grandstand starting to lift there. However, the water does look really lovely. I know on this course it can be a little windier in some places than others, and the feedback this morning from those going out and training was that it was a little windier further up the course. But this last 500 looks fine. Some great sculling going on. Sophia Carmody looking relaxed, strong and long across there on the far side. Of course, she is coached by Lachlan Carter, the women's coach at Sydney Rowing Club, who has mentored juniors through to a silver medal 2 years ago, and then took two of those girls, Laura Graham and Izzy Farrer, through to under-21s last year, and this year they're having a good tilt at under-23s. Sophia Carmody joining that fine stable of young women over there at Sydney Rowing Club. Lachlan also assisted by Donovan Check, the head coach there, who is very experienced, having been involved in junior women's programs over in South Africa before he came to Sydney Rowing Club as head coach. So a great win there for Sophia Carmody as she comes across the line. Vivian Noonan from Swan River beside her has had a great race the whole way through, and very calm row from Sabina Murchie. She's managed to row through Laura Wunderlich of UTS and sit very calmly in front of her. So Laura sadly will just have to miss out on this particular under-21 race. And concentrate on other events and come back again at the National Championships, which is where the selectors will be looking to who they will send through to represent Australia against New Zealand in the under-21 competition in July. Lane 4's Capital Lakes Cara Brugode comes across in 5th position. And from Banks, Alicia Ward completing our field of 6. The provisional time for Sophia Carmody, 8 minutes, 24.24 seconds.
And race 17, heat 2 of the women's under-21 single scull is underway. In lane 2, we have Jenna Bilston, coached by Leo Karadimitris, Andrew Gerber and Kieran Dwyer from Toowong. In lane 3, Claire Netherway from the University of Western Australia Institute of Sport. In lane 4, Jemima Lockie, coached by Lincoln Handley from Griffith Uni, Surfers Paradise. In lane 5, Ella Mentzins, coached by Alfie Young from Sydney University. In lane 6, Georgia Stoddart, coached by Alan Borger from Pine Rivers. I'm not sure where that is.
Queensland.
In lane 7, Elizabeth Newell, coached by Michael Russell from the University of Queensland. And in lane 8, Antonietta Di Cosmo, coached by William Raven from Banks.
So in the lead is Claire Netherway. Claire is from the University of Western Australia Boat Club and the West Australian Institute of Sport, and represented Australia at the Junior World Championships last year in the double scull. Claire Netherway in the lead at the 1,000-metre mark in a time of 4 minutes and 1 second. Just behind her, Ella Menzies, who represented Australia at the junior women's Coxed Four and got that silver medal, coached by Lachlan Carter there. She rows at Sydney University Boat Club, where she is coached by Alfie Young, and it's great to see her racing here. In third position, Elizabeth Newell of the University of Queensland, and in fourth position, Jenna Bilston of Toowong from Queensland. In fifth, Georgia Stoddart of Pine Rivers, Queensland. In sixth, Jemima Lockie of Griffith Unisurface Paradise, Queensland. Great to see you all here. Sorry about the weather. And in seventh position, Antonietta Di Cosmo from Banks in Victoria.
And it seems from that 1,000-metre mark, the first three are clearly in the lead. Now they've come through the 1,500-metre mark, we have a wait for fourth place to come through. It was 10 seconds at the 1,000-metre mark. So, and Jenna Bilston, yes, she's now 14 seconds behind.
So that's
from
sadly
Toowong.
completely out of contention for the final. I would have thought it'd be very hard to come back from 13 seconds unless someone has a massive shipwreck. so
Turn
yeah.
on the hidden motor.
That's right. Great learning experience though, and as we say, some of these are a lot younger than 21 as well. Some people using the under 21 competition to just extend the number of events that they do. So Jenna Bilston still in fourth, Georgia Stoddart still fifth, Jemima Lockie still sixth, Antonietta Di Cosmo still seventh. In fact, those positions have not changed since the 1,000-metre mark, so it'll be interesting to see as we come into the last 250 metres whether there's any change in those leading three. Now, Claire Netherway, who is if you're looking on the screen or from the grandstand, she's across on the far side of that leading group of scullers. She's been in the lead the whole way. With Ella Menzies of Sydney University, who's rating a lot lower than her, sitting beside her in second position, and Elizabeth Newell in the orange boat from University of Queensland, sitting in third. So we just saw Elizabeth do a push, but there's a response there from Ella Menzies, which sees Ella sit still in second position, and it doesn't look as though it's going to change. It looks as though those three will be the three to progress through from Heat 2 to the final of the Championship Women's Under-21 Single Scull.
It did look like Ella Menzies actually gave a good push up to about 1750, relaxed a bit, and then was pushed again just to hold her place there.
So Claire Netherway, first across the line. Ella, medalist in sweep, now turning to sculling. She's second and third. Elizabeth Newell from University of Queensland Boat Club. For provisional time for Claire, 8 minutes, 14.88 seconds. The margins 3.98 and 3.19. So the previous heat was 8.24, this was 8.14.
And the third heat of the women's under-21s single scull is underway. In lane 2, we have Lily Cathcart, coached by Mitchell Nelson from Melbourne University. In lane 3, Danielle Stewart, coached by Alfie Young from Sydney University. In lane 4, India Thompson, coached by Lachlan Carter and Donovan Check from Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 5, Monique Bitsios, coached by Gary Anand from Tweed. In lane 6, Jamie Park, coached by Joseph Tamigi from Western Australia Rowing Club. And in lane 7, Nicola Greenland from ANU ACT. And now I've called those as the rest of the previous race was crossing the line.
But there was no change in the order, so it was fourth was Jenna Bilston from Toowong, fifth was Georgia Stoddart from Pine Rivers, sixth was Jemima Lockie from Griffith Unisurface Paradise, and seventh was Antonietta Di Cosmo from Banks.
And with some fairly wide margins there.
Indeed. So in this third heat of the Championship Women's Under-21 single scull, India Thompson in the lead at the 1,000-metre mark, having overtaken Danny Stewart of Sydney University Boat Club. Sitting in third, Nicola Greenland of ACT, who had overtaken Jamie Park of West Australian Rowing Club in the second 500. And Lily Cathcart has been fifth the whole way so far, and she represents Melbourne University Boat Club. And Monique Bitsios of Tweed Rowing Club is sitting in sixth. Time to the 1,000-metre mark for India Thompson, 4 minutes and 2 seconds, so that's about a second slower than the previous heat.
And of those first three, well, it's going to be a real battle for fourth place again, going by the 1,000-metre times. Bit hard to see
close
from here.
Yeah, India Thompson, who for most of the season has been aiming to row lightweight, but is under 21, and I guess sadly, but probably on trend with what's happening across the whole of our rowing community, a bit of a question mark around lightweight rowing now that the International Olympic Committee has proposed that lightweight rowing be removed from the Olympic programme. So a little bit of a wobble, and that means that the New Zealanders, who we compete with in July at the under-21 level, are not keen. So we have removed lightweight single sculling and double sculling from our programme, our under-21 programme. So that leaves a little bit of a gap, and for India, she has decided then she'll go heavyweight. Why not? And it looks as though it's a great decision. The extra energy is helping her lead. She moved into the lead during the second 500, and she continues to lead, but is extending her lead at the 1,500-metre mark. So she's in lane 4 in the sky blue of Sydney. Sitting in second position still is Danny Stewart in the white zooty with the blue and gold hoops of Sydney University Boat Club. And still sitting in third is Nicola Greenland of ANU and the ACT High Performance Programme. Jamie Park of WA is in fourth. Monique Bitsios has moved up from sixth to fifth. She's representing Tweed. And Lily Cathcart of Melbourne University remains in sixth.
And the rain is coming back just to dampen them a little bit extra. But one thing it does do is flatten out the water usually.
And we're grateful for that. So 6:08, India's time to the 1,500-metre mark. She's actually looking more and more confident the further we get down the course. So you can see her there in the sky blue. On the far side of her, Danny Stewart from Sydney University. And
really
on the
reaching.
near side, the blue and blue hoops of ANU. Represented by Nicola Greenland.
Over there, Danny Stewart really reaching out to get some length in her strokes. So that's India Thompson across the line, followed by Danielle Stewart from Sydney University, and over here the Nicola Greenland from ANU in third place, and those three will go through. They were then followed by Jamie Park from Western Australia in fourth place. In fifth place, Monique Bitsios from Tweed, and in sixth, Lily Cathcart from Melbourne University.
Provisional time for that third heat, 8 minutes 16.71 seconds. And that completes the three heats of the Championship Women's Under-21 Single Scull. So the winner of that one was India Thompson, 8.16, the margin to her, and Danny Stewart, 4.26, and then back a further 2.22 to Nicola Greenland of ANU and ACT. We are moving across now to the Championship Women's Under-23 Single Scull. This is sponsored by Croker Oars. Here we have the first four progressing to the A final and the remainder to the B final, and it's important to note that this is a selection race for the under-23s, so it's very important for them. Here we do have a few people who have represented Australia before at international level, so exciting to see how they will progress. In lane 1, we have Anna Kirkwood from Melbourne Rowing Club, coached by David Orchard. In lane 2, Katie Healy from Mossman Rowing Club, coached by Matthias Ungemach. In lane 3, Laura Chancellor representing Toowong and the Queensland Academy of Sport, our junior women's Coxed 4 silver medalist Laura Chancellor. In lane 4, Alexandra Wrigley from North Esk, coached by Trevor Barrett and Brendan Long. In lane 5, from Sydney University Boat Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, Tara Rigney from last year's under-23 women's pair, coached by Alfie Young. In lane 6, from Mercantile Rowing Club, Sky Frobel, fresh from the under-21 team, coached by Bridget Carlisle. In lane 7, from ANU, Lily Reardon, coached by Nigel Harding. In lane 8, Bridget McKeaney-Douglas from Melbourne University Boat Club, who represented in the junior women's squad at Tokyo last year, 2019. And in lane 9, Eleanor Price from Sydney University Boat Club, having just recently moved from Victoria. She, of course, is coached by the women's coach there, Alfie Young.
So through the 1,000-metre mark, Tara Rigney is in the lead. Well, they're now through the 1,500-metre mark, and Tara Rigney is in the lead with a time of 5 minutes 54.41 seconds. She's followed by Alexandra Wrigley from North Esk in Tasmania, followed by Laura Chancellor from Toowong, Queensland, and then it's going to be so it's first 4 through in this heat. She's followed by Sky Frobel from Mercantile, and then it's only 3 seconds back to Anna Kirkwood from Melbourne. So it could be a battle for 4th place. They're then followed by Bridget McKerney-Douglas, Lily Reardon, Eleanor Price, and Katie Healy. But we can see them coming through into the last 250 metres here. So Tara Rigney is still well in the lead, out there in lane 5 from Sydney University. She's followed by Alexandra Wrigley from North Esk, and then Laura Chancellor from Toowong, Queensland, was in 3rd place, and the battle is going to be for 4th place, which is Sky Frobel in lane 6. So here in the red and white.
Well, it's nice to see that in this age racing, where many of the age racing from last year's New South Wales Championships were won by people out of state. In this one, we have a chance coming up here in the first heat of the Championship Women's Under-23 Single Scull with Tara Rigney.
So Tara Rigney is crossing the line in 1st place. Alexander Wrigley in 2nd place from North Esk, and 3rd place was Sky Frobel, who seemed to pull through ahead of Laura Chancellor from Toowong. She's followed by Bridget McKerney-Douglas from Melbourne University, and on the far side, Anna Kirkwood from Melbourne. Then we have 6th is Eleanor Price from Sydney University. 7th is Lily Reardon from ANU, and over there on the far side in lane 2, Tara Healy from Mossman. The winning time in that race, 7 minutes 56. Gee, that's fast. So the first 3 to go through will be Tara Rigney from Sydney University, Alexandra Wrigley from North Esk, and Sky Frobel from Mercantile. And the second heat of the women's under-23 single scull is underway. In lane 1, we have Zoe Hasler coached by Jack Hadley from Sydney University. In lane 2, Catherine Kahn, coached by Nick Hunter and Nigel Harding from ANU. In lane 3, Sarah Ashland, coached by Trevor Barrett from North Esk. In lane 4, Romola Davenport, coached by Lachlan Carter and Donovan Chet from Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 5, Lily Alton, coached by Alfie Young from Sydney University. In lane 6, Adelaide Scott, coached by David Geely, Haley Chapman and Alex Field from UTS. In lane 7, Kate Morris, coached by Catherine Borger and Alan Borger from Brisbane and GPS. And in lane 8, Sarah Robinson, coached by Leah Carey-Dimitris, Andrew Gerber and Kieran Dwyer from Toowong. As I've come through the 1,000 metre mark, Lily Elton from the Sydney University was in the lead, followed by Sarah Ashland from North Esk and Adelaide Scott from UTS.
Well, look, Lizzie Chapman, of course, has gone off for a bit of a break at the present moment. And congratulations also to Mark Tejan, who has been assisting her in the commentary today. You've done a very good job, Mark, in giving those results. I might just add that, of course, we can't forget our past champions, and the current under-23 single scull champion does come from New South Wales, and it's Harriet Hudson, who incidentally will be racing in another couple of events' time in the women's elite single scull. So that's what happens as you get on in years, and you go up to the next level, and she's an Australian representative and done very well at that. Well, coming down here, and this is the under-23 women's single scull, and be followed by the semi-finals of the elite men's single scull, and you saw that as the Grade 2 races today. Well, a good race coming up here now, 3 from this side of the course, and that looks to be, as they've gone through for race number 20 it is, and Sydney University with Aitken leading, as you said, I think, Mark, and followed by the North Esk sculler, the Brian Alchin, and then UTS back to Sydney, Brisbane and Sydney University, and then right at the tail end in the 7th position on lane 2. You can see a little way back here, but I think it's 3rd from this side is the Sydney University sculler in the women's under-23 single.
And it's the first 4 through to the final for this race, for this heat. So we have Lily Elton from Sydney University in the lead there. She's been followed by Sarah Ashland from North Esk over in the far side there in lane 3. Adelaide Scott will be next across from UTS, and 4th place will be Romola Davenport from Sydney Rowing Club. Then there's quite a few boat lengths back to Kate Morris from Brisbane. So the winning time there, 7 minutes 58.64 to Lily Alton. Sarah Ashland crossed 0.88 of a second behind her, then 6.3 seconds back to Adelaide Scott, and 5.07 seconds back to Romola Davenport in 4th. Kate Morris from Brisbane and GPS in 5th place. Over on the far side there, we have Zoe Hasler from Sydney University crossing in 6th. And we will have Catherine Khan from ANU over in lane 2 will cross in 7th place.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 moving through to the A final there, and the rest of the names that you heard from Mark move into the B final. I think that's the first time we've heard a mention made of a B final on today's program. Well, the next race lining up here now is the Championship Men's Elite Lightweight Elite Single Scull, and it's the first of the semi-finals, with 1, 2, 3, 4 moving through to the A final, and the remainder go through to the B final. The lineup there, very quickly, is Marsh from Swan River on the far side, Hill from the National Training Centre and aligned with Adelaide, and of course He won the President's Cup last year in the state versus state and would be ruled now the Australian champion sculler for 2019. The Sydney University next with Cam Girdlestone. He's in lane 3, lane 4. Luke Lecture, who was a bit of a surprise performance today, did extremely well. He's rode in the Australian representative double scull. Hargraves next to him in lane 5 from the men's 4 and also a member of the New South Wales Kings Cup. The Sydney National Training Centre, that's David Watts, was rode in the World's Championship men's 4. And then from the men's 8 we have in lane 7 Alex Purnell, and joining him from Melbourne University will be Joshua Booth in lane 8, also rode in the World's Championship men's 8.
So
Well, there's been some great racing, Mark.
Oh, and these semi-finals in the men's elite single scull will be very good racing, going by the way they performed out there in the heats. Very close. Could put us on edge as they cross the line, Barry.
Well, it's good weather for racing now. I think we're still getting a few drops of rain, but it's not heavy when we started off the program today, and it might... We do have some major sponsors, of course, of rowing here in New South Wales, Bentley's, and the event sponsor, the Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors Australia. We've also got V Insurance, a group to be proud of, is an insurance broker for Rowing New South Wales, and then the other rowing sponsors, the Regatta Shop, Pontoon Sports, Croker Roars, and Bond Rowing. And my understanding is this is being live streamed today through John Meeking, who has done a wonderful job in developing the live streaming on this course over several years, the last couple of years, and he deserves all the praise and professionalism, awards that he can manage. It's been absolutely fantastic, Mark, and I notice you've been watching that screen up there, and which can give us the progress of each of the events, and it's also live streamed, and I think most people would be aware of that and are able to look at racing.
The race is underway, and it looked like there was already some positions right from the start there. So they haven't quite hit the 250 metre mark yet, I don't think, and there's a couple of boats that are out there in the lead. I think they've stopped racing.
Well,
So
I think you're right, Mark. It's very difficult to see down there, but I can see the umpire's launch, which usually should be roughly around about the middle of the field, is staying right over there near lane 1.
So a couple of boats have stopped. Others weren't quite aware and kept on racing. That's probably what provided the unusual spread.
Well, I don't know how the selectors are coping with the rain, but as Lizzie has said on previous occasions, this is a selection regatta, not just an event. And the laurels for Olympic selection for everyone. That's not just for the elites, but for the under-23s, the under-21s and the under-19 juniors. All up for grabs today. And when you see the lineup of people, in fact New South Wales has announced its squad for the state versus state racing, the domestic racing here, and I think they've included everybody from last year's winning Kings Cup 8, and I think with a couple of extras there. But
so those rowers are just coming back to the start now. You can imagine the tension in the start with this field, Barry.
Oh yes. Well, it's good for them. If there has been a bit of a break, of course, they get to try it out, and I think the regatta is running extremely well to time. This race was scheduled to commence, I think, at 11:15, so they've got a little bit of leeway, and the boat race officials here have an excellent way of getting a regatta back on time.
So we've just been advised that Cam Girdlestone has had an issue with his foot stretcher. So race 22 will race next, and then it will be followed by race 21. So race 22 is the second semi-final, which of the men's elite single scull. In lane 1 we will have Jack Cleary from Western Australia Rowing Club NTC. In lane 2, Paddy Holt from UTS in Swiss. In lane 3, Spencer Turren from Sydney NTC. In lane 4, Caleb Antill from ANU NTC. In lane 5, Campbell Watts from Sydney University NTC. In lane 6, Angus Moore from Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 7, David Bartholow from Sydney Uni. And in lane 8, Hamish Playfair from UTS. So this will be the first 4 through to the final, and the rest will go through to a B final.
Oh, we're just getting a message here from Greg Smith, who's the head boat race official today, and it concerns water bottles. Now, those down at the start now probably can't hear this, but this is a message for all coaches, all those that are going down to the start. Don't throw the water bottles at the start. Don't throw the water bottles in the water as you're about to take off. Pass them to a boat holder or keep the empty bottle in your boat. But do not throw the water bottles at the start into the water. All right, thanks for that message.
So we have race 22 now lining up at the start. And if you're looking at the screen, you can see Hamish Playfair closest to the screen in lane 9 in the distinctive UTS colours.
Well, going through the field there, it looks like Spencer Turin is third from the far side, and he's of course a representative of the men's 8 and men's 4, and from Sydney Rowing Club he'd be in the New South Wales Interstate 8 lined up there, so he's a very good performer, an Australian representative. Next to him in lane 4 you've got Antill from the Australian National University and sponsored by the National Training Centre, a former Australian representative of the men's double scull. Then you've got Campbell Watts from the University here in Sydney. Angus Moore, and has been in a number of King's Cups. He started his career, I think, down in Canberra, and then down in Victoria, and now back in Sydney. And his grandfather, of course, is part of the commentary team. That's John Moore. So that's Angus Moore. 2 more to go. David Bartholow from Sydney University, and then Hamish Playfair over here in lane 8. Who's from the men's quad at the World Championships.
And you can see the distinctive colours of the National Training Centre boats there. I'm pretty sure it's green with the gold canvas. So a little bit like when you're watching the Olympics, they're all in Empackers and Felipe's. Here we have our National Training Centre boats out on the water, getting a good stretch.
Yeah, they do look good, don't they?
Yes.
Green boats, and well, they're Australian colours.
Some deep breaths being taken there.
Well,
It's waiting for the starter to probably announce the 2 minutes.
Just a reminder that this is race 22, the semi-final. The second of the semi-finals, the first of the semi-finals will take place after this. There's a boat malfunction down there at the start in Cam Girdlestone's boat, and they are currently looking at that. So we understand that this is race number 22.
Fantastic job the boat holders are doing out in this weather. There's looking down the course, another heavy shower coming through. Probably more than, they're all volunteers. The thing that makes these regattas run is the volunteers that put in their time and effort. So, and although it may be miserable out there, it's a fantastic job that they're doing. We encourage anybody who has the time and energy and commitment to please volunteer.
We have a start, and I hope you've been watching to see whether there are any bottles of water, empty bottles being thrown in the water. But we do have a start now in race 22, the Championship Men's Elite Single Scull. And as they move away from us, and a great view coming from the screen, from the back of the racing, very difficult to see if there is any. And I imagine that for the first 500 metres, it'll be very close racing between all these. And I think for race 22, you'll be watching very closely to Turin, who is third from the far side of the regatta. They're moving up, as you can see. And I think that's Turin in the blue singlet of Sydney Rowing Club. As you can see, he's the one closest to the camera. And but there wouldn't be much difference, Mark, I guess, between any of those crews. Are we getting timings from the 500?
Yes, we are.
All right, so it'll be interesting to see the differences there. It's a Sydney University sculler that you can see right in the middle of the screen at the present moment, and that could be Campbell Watts, I think it is.
It's lane 5, yes.
But a great shot as they approach the first 500, and we look forward to hearing Mark's account of who's who. And the flag poles that you'll see coming up on the opposite side denote the 500 metre mark.
Very close, but at the 500 metre there's a clear leader of David Bartholow. He's followed by Campbell Watts from Sydney University, followed by Angus Moore from Sydney Rowing Club, Paddy Holt from UTS, and Hamish Playfair from UTS. Followed by Spencer Turin, Calabantel and Jack Cleary. It is very close, as you would expect from a field of this pedigree through the 500 metres. We'll expect them to perhaps spread out slightly by the 1,000 metres, but I would never try to call a race like this at this stage of it.
You'd probably have no more than about 5 or 6 seconds separating first from the last sculler as they went through the 500 metre mark. Can you give us a check on that?
Yeah, so it was 1.35 seconds that David Bartholow was ahead. Then the margins are 0.91, 0.07, 0.92, 0.30 and 0.07.
Well, there it's up on the screen now. There's no doubt.
Very close.
There's no doubt about this live streaming. It comes on deck whenever you want it. Well done. It gave us the times there. As you can see, we're looking at 0.0 something or other between each of these scullers. So no one's giving any quarter here. Close racing in this, the second semi-final, the first yet to come. With 1, 2, 3, 4 moving through to the A final, and the remainder go to the B final. A reminder to those watching on television that this is a selection regatta, a very important selection event for the Australian Men's 8 and the Australian Men's Sweep All Crews. Also the scullers, and there's quite a few of them represented here, of course, because you've got Turin out of the men's 8 and the men's 4. Antle rode for Australia in the double sculls. You've got the men's quad, Playfair, on this side of the course, who rode in the men's quad. A fantastic lineup of the elite rowers from Australia.
So as they came through the 1,000 metres, David Bartholow had a 1.89 second lead over Campbell Watts, and then it's very close behind was Angus Moore by 0.83 of a second, followed by Hamish Playfair, 1.38 seconds behind. So the first 4 fairly close together. Calabantel only 0.06 of a second behind. And Paddy Holt 2.21 seconds behind. So very tough competition as to who's going to get through as fourth and fifth place to go through to the A final.
Perhaps Taran's looking for selection in the sweep or boats rather than the sculling. But I think we're about to have a start in the first of the semi-finals. That's race 21, lined up on the blocks now, and it won't be long before they're let go. I'll tell you when we have a start. In the meantime, that's it. So they've started in race 21. That's the first semi-final of the Championship Men's Elite Single Scull. They've covered about 80 to 100 metres. So now we're seeing the results in the final 500 metres of the second of the semi-finals. And it's still very close racing.
Still very close. So there's David Barthelow's come through in lead with the time of 5 minutes 10 seconds. Followed by Campbell Watts, then Angus Moore, Calibantul and Hamish Playfair. So Hamish has dropped back a place, but there's only a second and a half pretty much between the first 5 placings.
No, that's right. I think Campbell Watts has moved up on Barthelot, and Campbell Watts right in the centre of the course. 1, 2, 3, 4 across from the grandstand side of the course. And Barthelot now has responded. And it's one of the highest. Have a look at the rate Barthelot's up. Must be up in the... he'd have to be close to the 36, 38. Almost moving up into the 40s. He'd be the highest rating sculler we have down there, and that's why he's in front. Coached by Don McLaughlin. Coming up to the final 300 metres, the two of them start to move away from the rest of the field. It's Barthelot, the highest rating sculler that we'll see there. You can see the blades biting into the boat, comes from Sydney University, and 2 across another Sydney University sculler, that's Campbell Watts. As you can see, club mates, and they're moving up, and now Watts is starting to respond. They're first, second, third place, and third place over there, I think it's the Australian National University sculler. This is a great finish coming up in the second of the semi-finals of the men's elite single sculls. And it's lane 5, and that is Campbell Watts from Sydney University now has moved up. It looks like he might take the win here. In second place, well, it's a great race going on for second. It might go to Calibantul from the Australian National University just across the line, and third place will go to David Barthelot. Big change there in the final 100 metres. You'd like Mike to tell us the others.
So fourth place was Angus Moore from Sydney. Fifth place, Hamish Playfair. No, it wasn't. Sorry. Fifth place, Paddy Holt. And
you've got Holt coming up.
Holt, then Spencer Turren. So he came through. Then Hamish Playfair, followed by Jack Cleary. So the winning time there, 6 minutes 55.62. Then 2.46 seconds back to Calibantul, who just beat David Barthelow by 0.5 of a second. Then there was a bit of a gap back to Paddy Holt at 7.71 seconds. So those are the first 4 through. Angus Moore, reading from the top, Campbell Watts, Calibantul, David Barthelot and Angus Moore will be the first 4 through to the final. Then the B final will be Paddy Holt, Spencer Turren, Hamish Playfair and Jack Cleary.
Well, race 21 now has been underway for quite a little time. They might be moving now close to the 1,000 metre mark. Would that be right? Do we have any
Yes,
results?
they've come through the 1,000 metre mark with Jack Hargreaves in the lead with 3 minutes 26, followed by David Watts, 2 seconds behind. Then Luke Letcher, 1.36 seconds behind. Cameron Girdlestone, 1.05. Sam Marsh, Alex Hill, Alex Purnell and Joshua Booth. Again, the race is really going to be on. It's going to be very hard to call because we saw in that last race how they all changed spots. So as they compete very hard out in the rain now.
So Hargraves currently is the 4th sculler from the grandstand side of the course. So if those in the grandstand can look to the left, and he is rated as they came through the 1,000 metre mark, the 4th sculler in the lead. And it would be on his right hand side, is Black Mountain's Luke Letcher. I'm really astounded by the progress this young man has made from the Australian double sculls. He's a young fellow who's been down at the club at Black Mountain in the Australian Capital Territory, has done a fantastic job, and has been coached by the former, I think it was chairman of ACT Rowing, but he's done a great job and he's stuck with his club through all and sundry. And well done to Luke Letcher, and was surprised to see him right in the centre there, having come through. I think he was successful in his heat that we saw earlier on today. There he is, 1, 2, 3, 4. On his immediate left is the sculler from Sydney Rowing Club and the National Training Centre, or rather, sorry, from the, is Jack Hargraves, I think.
So, yes, Jack Hargraves has come through the 1,500 metres in the lead.
Yeah.
He's followed by David Watts, and then less than a second behind is Luke Letcher, and then Cameron Girdlestone a second behind. Then there's a 4-second gap back to Alexander Hill. So it looks like the Jack Hargraves, David Watts and Luke Letcher and Cameron Girdlestone will be the first 4 through, but again, always hard to call.
Well, I think Hargraves and Watts have moved a little further away from Letcher now. They seem to be on their own. That's the sculler from Sydney University, that's Hargraves, and Watts from the men's Australian 4. Both men are from the Australian 4, Hargraves and Watts. So there's they'd be close associates over many years from the Australian team. But
and look at that line out there, Barry, from up here in the finish tower. The first 4 have a very close line across.
Rating's much the same. As you can see, I think it's the Black Mountain sculler. Letcher might be trying to make an attempt to get up.
I think David Watts it's between David Watts and Jack Hargraves as to who's going to cross the line first. Could well be a photo.
Well, he's soaring backward and forwards. This is going to be very interesting. But I think it will go to Watts of Sydney Rowing Club will take first place. Second will go to Hargraves. Third place will go to lane 4. That's Luke Letcher for third. And fourth place then will go to lane 3. I think that is Cam Girdlestone.
Yes.
They're the top 4.
So those 4 will go through to the A final. Then the B final will be Alexander Hill, who came in 5th place. Sam Marsh, who came in 6th place from Swan River. Alex Purnell from Sydney University in 7th place. And here we have Joshua Booth from Melbourne University has just crossed the line. The winning time in that race, 7.03.81. That's race 21. So that compares to the previous race, semi-final race of 6:55.55, and that difference could have been the extra heavy rain that came down the course.
Well, there's quite a substantial difference there. There's 8 seconds difference between the two. Race 22, that was the semi-final number 2, which was the first race we saw, was at 6:55, and the race just passed, as we've been told, 7:03.
And race 23 is now underway. This is heat 1 of the women's elite single scull, and so the first 4 will go through to the final, and the rest will go through to the B final. In lane 2, we have Morgan Reimer, coached by Lincoln Hanley from Sydney Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise. In lane 3, we have Fiona Ewing, coached by Donald McLaughlin from Sydney Uni. Emma Fessy from UTS has withdrawn. In lane 5, we have Rebecca Smith, coached by Leah Karadimitris, Kieran Dwyer and Andrew Gerber from Toowong. In lane 6, Olivia Honor, coached by Mitchell Nelson from Melbourne University. In lane 7, Katrina Bateman, coached by Nicholas Mitchell from Mercantile. And in lane 8, Eleni Kalimnios, coached by John Dreesen from Huon, which is in Tasmania.
Just by way of comment, you'll notice that there were 2 scullers originally entered from the National Training Centre. That was Emma Fessy and Harriet Hudson in the second of the heats. And there has been a withdrawal, as you said, from Fessy from the National Training Centre. Now, there's a big difference between the women's elite single scull entrance and the race and the men's elite single scull. You saw the top racing here. The women will be racing in pairs, also a selection event for them later in the day. And it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Well, as they came through the 1,000-metre mark there, Barry, Katrina Bateman from Mercantile had a fairly comfortable lead, 4.29 seconds ahead, followed by Fiona Ewing from Sydney Uni in second, and then 5.9 seconds back to Rebecca Smith from Toowong, and she was followed by Morgan Reamer. They've now come through the 1,500-metre mark, with Katrina Bateman still holding her lead. They're spreading out further now, so 5.4 seconds back to Fiona Ewing. Eleni Kalimnios has come through from Huon. She's followed by Olivia Honore from Melbourne University. Rebecca Smith from Toowong is very close behind. Morgan Reamer has dropped back, so she was fourth as they cross the 1,000-metre, and she's now in 6th place from Griffith Uni, and we're waiting for the other. They're only 6 in this race, so that's as it comes, and we can see them now hitting the 1,750 mark, so for the final 200 metres. And Katrina Bateman, you can see close to the second in from the grandstand side of the field here, looking very comfortable, still pushing hard. And over on the far side there in lane 3, that's Fiona Ewing from Sydney Uni. And then in lane 8, closest to the grandstand here in the yellow and green colours of Huon and Tasmania. Coming third. Then in lane 6, Olivia Honore from Melbourne University.
I might add there that Fiona Ewing, of course, has represented Australia. She got a 4th in the B final at Worlds in the final. I think that was in a quad. So Fiona and of course Emma Fessy was out there, and I think Emma Fessy was New South Wales Oarswoman of the Year at the New South Wales presentations. They go across the lane. It's lane 7 in first place. Katrina Bateman takes the win. And second place over there on the far side will go to Fiona Ewing for second place. Third place then will go to lane 8 down below us. Kaliminis from Ewan. And fourth place then will go to lane 6, I think, Melbourne University, Olivia Honore. And followed by lane 5, that's Toowong's Rebecca Smith.
And 6th is Morgan Reamer from Griffith University. The winning time there, 7 minutes 47.43. So race 24 is underway, which is heat 2 of the Women's Elite Single Scull. Again, the first 4 go through to the A final and the rest to the B final. In lane 2, we have Joan Poe, coached by David O'Shea from Melbourne. In lane 3, Sienna Grady, coached by Lindsay Callaghan from Nepean. In lane 4, Harriet Hudson from Sydney Rowing Club and the NTC. In lane 5, Caitlin Cronin from the University of Queensland and QAS. In lane 6, Rowena Meredith, coached by Donald McLaughlin from Sydney University. She's also within Swiss. And in lane 7, Nicole Constable, coached by Lincoln Hanley from Griffith University Surfers Paradise. So they have come through the 1,000-metre mark with Rowena Meredith from Sydney Uni in the lead. Was followed by Katie Cronin from University of Queensland, and then a fair gap back to Nicole Constable from Griffith University. Sienna Grady close behind her from Nepean, and then another fair gap back to Joan Poe from Melbourne.
Well, it becomes clear as they approach the 1,000 or the 500 metre mark. 500 metres to go, that the sculler two from this side of the course, Sydney Uni, represented there is Rowena Meredith. And I think that should show up there. Rowena Meredith, did you get that as the leading sculler? And trailing behind her, the next sculler in second place would be to her immediate right, which would make it Caitlin Cronin from the University of Queensland. And I think
so. Yes, the 1,500 metre time has just come through with Rowena Meredith in the lead at 5 minutes 49. Caitlin Cronin was 7.5 seconds behind her, and we're waiting for 3 to come across. But you can see if you look down the course, the fan shape with Rowena Meredith clearly in the lead. Nicole Constable from Griffith University, Queensland, was 18.7 seconds behind, so a wide gap. Then followed by Sienna Grady from Nepean, and further 10 seconds back to Joan Poe. So it seems fairly clear who the first 4 to go through to the A final will be. That'll be Rowena Meredith, Caitlin Cronin, Nicole Constable and Sienna Grady, and the rest will go through to the B final.
Yeah, there's a couple of gaps there where people have been withdrawn. I think Hudson from Sydney Rowing Club has been withdrawn, and we don't get the notification of the cancellations that might come up right at the last moment, but clearly there is no Harriet Hudson there. And I think some of these young ladies that make their way through to the final are going to be very fortunate that there is a minimum, if any, now from the National Training Centre elite sculler lineup not competing in this particular event. But the record will show that somebody, whether it's from Surfers Paradise, the University of Queensland, Melbourne University, will be lucky enough and fortunate enough to take out one of the placings in the Championship Women's Elite Single Scull.
So Rowena Meredith looking very comfortable as she crosses the line there. Just coming through now. Her winning time unofficially is 7 minutes 0.5. This point is 3.6. She is being followed again, looking very comfortable by Caitlin Cronin from the University of Queensland. Third place is going to be lane 7, Nicole Constable from Griffith University. Over in fourth place will be over in lane 3 there, Sienna Grady from Nepean. Great to see Nepean Rowing Club showing rowers at this level. In fifth place, over in lane 2, Joan Poe from Melbourne. And I think that completes this field.
Yeah, it does. Only one scratching there, Harriet Hudson, who was withdrawn in a similar situation to Emma Fezzi from heat number 1.
And the next race is closing in very fast. This is the under 23 single scull heat 1 for the men. First 3 will go through to the A final and the rest through to the B final. In lane 1 we have Nick Lesiuk from Sydney University. In lane 2 Bowen Hafey from Banks. In lane 3 Joseph Wilson from North Esk. In lane 4 Hamish Henriquez from Western Australia Rowing Club. In lane 5 Jordan Duff from Sydney University. Harry Glacken from Capital Lakes is withdrawn. In lane 7, Jack Barrett from North Esk, and in lane 8, James Meads from Banks.
Well,
and they've come through the 1500 metre mark with Jordan Duff from Sydney University in the lead. Hamish Henriquez is right behind him from Western Australia, followed by Jack Barrett, Joseph Wilson and James Meads. Now, it could be quite a battle as to who is going to get into fourth place to go through to the A final there between Jack Barrett, Joseph Wilson and James Meads, going by the times at the 1500 metres.
Well,
but when you look down on the course, they're looking fairly close there.
Yeah,
Barry?
Cormac Kenny Leverett would be a name familiar to. He was last year's New South Wales under-23 single scull champion. But unusually here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scullers vying for 3 positions. And it's very, very close coming up here, and a good race going on as they approach. We've only got about a few hundred, or about 150 metres to go now. And as you can see, lane 3 over there has done a good job. That's Wilson from North Esk, keeping up with them. In fact, North Esk Scull are about to be undertaken now by Jordan Duff, Sydney University. I think Sydney University out of lane 5 will just get there. And North Esk will be in second place. Third place will go to lane 4. Fourth place will go to lane 8. That's Banks Meads. And the remainder will have to move to the B final.
So that's a photo finish.
Lane 7 would be fifth.
For first and second. Hamish Henriquez in third from Western Australia, and James Mead from Banks in fourth place. So Nick Leswick and Jack Barrett and Bowen Hayfie will all go through to the B final.
Well, as you said, there was a photo between Duff and Wilson from here. The commentary position is located a little bit forward of the finishing line, and it's sometimes difficult to see, but it did look from here that Duff might have just got up. He was a race leader in the last few hundred metres. Approached by Wilson. Wilson got back in, or took over the lead, but in the final few strokes, I think Duff might have just got there. The top 3 there would be then Duff and Wilson, to be sorted out by the photo, and Hamish Honricks from the West Australian Rowing Club and the Institute of Sport over there in the West for third place. The remainder moving through to the big final.
So the official finish places was Jordan Duff in the lead in a time of 7 minutes 15.21 with 0.24 of a second back to Joseph Wilson. And race 26 is underway, which is heat 2 of the men's under 23 single scull. Again, the first 3 will go, oh sorry, I called that incorrectly. I was saying the first 4 through, so it was only the first 3 through. So that's Jordan Duff, Joseph Wilson and Hamish Henriquez will go to the A final. The race 26, the second heat, of men's under 23 single scull. In lane 1 we have Jethro Gifford, coached by Leah Kara-Demetris from Toowong. In lane 2, Miles McQuillan from Swan River. Alex Grzeskowiak, pardon me, from Capital Lakes is withdrawn. Joel Kane, coached by Nicholas Mitchell from Mercantile, is in lane 4. In lane 5, Jackson Kench, coached by Franz Imfeld and Donovan Check from Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 6, Oscar Williams, coached by Alex Field, David Gilly and Hallie Chapman from UTS. In lane 7, Devlin Walsh, coached by Donald McLean from Sydney University. And in lane 8, Nicholas Tanner from Capital Lakes. And they're coming into the last 250 metres.
Well, it's the UTS sculler Oscar Williams that has a slight lead. He's the third sculler from the grandstand side of the course. And he comes from UTS. You'll see the vertical stripes there of the UTS club, which are down in the waters of Iron Cove down here in Sydney. And on his immediate right, you've got Jackson Kench from Sydney Rowing Club in the pale blue colours, desperately trying to catch him. And look at the race going on now. It's the sculler from Sydney Rowing Club, Jackson Kench, who's raised up. He was about a half a length behind. He's reduced that to a canvas 1, 2, 3, and they're the important places going to the A final. There's no doubt it's only purely now for lane draw with the top 3 scullers as they approach, but only about 100 metres to go. It's the UTS sculler, Williams, managing to hold on to about a bow ball. It's about a quarter of a canvas now, and it looks like he might just make it. He will make it, and second place then will go to Kench of Sydney Rowing Club. Back in third place, it will go to lane 4, that's Mercantile's Joe Kane. And as you can hear from the buzzer going off for the timings, it's damn close. Fourth place will go to Walsh of Sydney University, and fifth place then on the far side, it looks like it might go to the Queensland Academy of Sport sculler, that's Jethro Clifford on the far side. And then as you can see, the colours of Swan River coming up, and one more sculler to go. This will be on this side, Nick Tanner from Capital Lakes.
So the winning time in that race was 7 minutes 12 seconds, 12.63 seconds. That's 3 seconds faster than the previous heat. Yeah, so the third heat of the men's under 23 single scull has come through the 1,000 metre mark. In the lead we had Jackson Free from Griffith Uni, followed by Tyler Mason from Huon in Tasmania. Third place, third coming through that with very close between them all. They've actually come through the 1,500 metres now. So Leon Chambers from Sydney University is now moved to the lead. Jackson Free from Griffith University was in second place, crossing over. Alex Nichol holding third place. And I'm sorry, the timing from our has just disappeared from our screens. But if you look out there on the field, you can see
I think they're missing one sculler on this side of the course, and that might cause a little bit of confusion. I think that might be the Ewan sculler, although Toowong seems to be there in the yellow. But lane 8 certainly occupied by the Cairns sculler. That's a private rowing club up in Queensland, and they reportedly make sure they have the best boats that they can possibly buy. Coached by Scott Rowe, that's Gordon Conlon, but well wide out of contention. The next one across is, I think it's 2 lanes across, and that might be the Ewan sculler, Tyler Marson. And then you've got the Sydney sculler, and the leading sculler then would be for the Sydney University sculler, that's Leon Chambers. Is that the way you'd see it?
Yes, and Jackson Free there from Griffith Uni, giving a very hard push to, could well be a photo as they cross the line again. But yes, Leon Chambers is good half boat length or good length ahead now. So pushing very hard as he crosses the line in an unofficial time of 7 minutes 14, followed by Leon Chambers from, Jackson Free from Griffith Uni. In third place, Alex Nichol from Sydney. So those 3 will go through to the A final. Tyler Mason came in 4th, and followed by Tim Sander from Swan River in 5th place, and Connor Gordon from Cairns in 6th place. So again, winning time in that race, 7 minutes 14.09. And race 28 is now well underway as well. They've come through the 1,000 metre mark. So we had Georgia Seed in lead from Western Australia Rowing Club, Mia Thomas from Sydney University in 2nd place, Ella McKenzie from Toowong, then followed by Sophie Malcolm from Centenary, Amy Wagner from Nepean, Claudia Downs from Capital Lakes, Alicia Caruso from Melbourne Uni, and Charlotte Ryan from Capital Lakes. And I would say they are getting close to the 1500 metre mark. At 1,000 metres there was a lead of about 5 seconds between Georgia Seed and Mia Thomas, but then it could be anyone's. I think we're going to see another very close race for third place. So with these, this is the under 21 women's lightweight scull, sponsored by Bentley's, this race, and the first 4 will go through to the final and the rest will be eliminated.
Well, it's interesting that in this lineup for the first of the heats, for the women's under 21 lightweight single, that on the list out of lane 6, that it would be the 4th lane, is Alexandra Moylan is listed down there. And Alexandra Moylan, I recall, I think was the New South Wales state champion, even though she's from ANU, I think last year. At the last New South Wales Championships, it was Alex Moylan. Well, here she's racing again, so she was pretty young when she won the championship last year, and she's still racing in the under 21 category this year and out of lane 6. But clearly the race leader there is the West Australian Georgia Seed, coached by Joe Tamiki, and from Western Australian Rowing Club, in the dark colours there in lane 8. And this is the first of the heats, 1, 2, 3, 4, as you were told, is the way to go, straight to the final. So there's quite a gap that's opened up between the back of the field.
But you can see Georgia Seed in the lead close to the grandstand here in lane 8.
Oh yes, you're very clear leader.
Well in the lead. Then across into the centre of the course in lane 5, Mia Thomas from Sydney University. Then followed by Alec McKenzie over in lane 1. So very hard to call here because the rower in lane 4, Sophia Malcolm, is pushing hard to try and catch Ella McKenzie, I would say. But the field has spread out now and seems to be a fairly clear lead to Georgia Seed. So the first 4 are going to go through to the final. The rest will be eliminated. And how does that look to you, Barry? I think the Sydney
the Western
Uni
Australian's got it, but it's a very impressive run coming from Mia Thomas, I think that
Absolutely.
is, from Sydney University. As a matter of fact, if the race were about another 20 metres to go, I think Thomas would overtake Seed from Western Australia. It's a great performance coming here.
And Ella McKenzie over in the far side in lane 1 is pushing very hard as well and seems up her rating and is moving through or holding her place in there.
Well, this is going to be very interesting, but I think lane 8 will take the win. That's Seed from Western Australia. And then we're followed by Sydney University. Thomas will get 2nd place, and 3rd place right on the far side will go to Mackenzie at Toowong. 4th place then in the yellow boat will go to Centenary Sophie Malcolm, and 5th place will go to, I think that'll be lane 3, Nepean. Yes. Followed by lane 7, that's Melbourne University. Caruso from Melbourne University taking out 6th place. And a good performance coming from this young lady down here from, would be lane 9, I think it is.
Yes.
And that would be the sculler from Capital Lakes. And from a distance, I thought she was wearing the glebe colours, but I'm sorry about that. I got very enthusiastic, but what a try on. Look, there's no doubt about it. At this age group, the under 21s, even that sculler, Claudia Downs, full marks to her, coached by Neil Smith. Now, I wonder whether that's the Neil Smith that used to be a trainer over at Pymble Ladies College many years ago. And I've noticed he's been down for coaching and a number of the young scullers here today. And Neil Smith's been around for many, many years, a very good trainer and getting people fitness, and then in more recent years has turned to coaching. And if we just looked at the way that young lady from Capital Lakes approached, not the winning position, she was well back, but a lot of enthusiasm, a ton of spirit, and you've got to be fit to do that. So well done to Claudia Downs, 9th place in the first heat of the women's under 21 single scull, and you've got a good one there.
And the winning time in that race was 8 minutes 25.74. So now we have race 30. Well, no, there should be the second heat of the... yes, so it's the second heat of the women's under 21 lightweight single. They've just come through the 500 metre mark with Miller Rowe from Cand in the lead at the 500, followed by Dylan Rhodes from Tweed, Connor Hopkins from Mossman, Gus Laufman from Western Australia Rowing Club, followed by Clancy Doe from the University of Queensland, Bailey Flecker from Western Australian Rowing Club. Sorry, I was looking at the screen there and completely in error. We are on race 29. It is the women's under 21 lightweight single, the second heat. In the lead at 1500, as they quickly come through, is Annabelle Cancel from Fremantle, followed by Jessica Malcolm from Centenary, then Amelia Cooper from St Catherine's, Maxine Franz from Glebe, go Glebe, followed by Tony Johnson from Toowong, then Olivia Evans from Banks, Ali Barr from ANU, and Sarah Bender from Capital Lakes, and they're in the final 250 metres here. Barry, how do you see it?
Well, although this is the second heat and we're looking at the top 4, I think they've almost sorted themselves out now, but a very impressive row has come from the St Catherine sculler, who's the leading sculler on this side of the course, and coached by Jared Watson and Coakley. St Catherine's is a school which has done extremely well in rowing here. There's St Catherine's colours. She was a little way back, but she's moved up now. I think she's got herself into second place there and almost up with the yellow boat. But the leading sculler out there is, just looking at the colours, I think that is 3 or 4. You mentioned that was Annabelle Council, I think.
Yes, it's Annabelle Council from Fremantle.
That's the Fremantle sculler in the lead. Will probably get there at this stage, but a very good row has come from Cooper of St Catherine's to take out second place. Well, there we have it. The Fremantle Sculler Council takes the win. First place, second place will go to lane 7, that's St Catherine's, and then followed by the yellow boat out there, which is St Tidry's Jessery Malcolm for third. Fourth place then will go to lane 2, that's Glebe's Maxine France. Well done to Glebe. And fourth place then, or fifth place then, will go to the blue boat down here, which I think is the sculler from, maybe the sculler from Toowong. Tony Johnson, I think.
Yes.
He's got a 5th place there. And 6th place just below us here in lane 1.
No, lane 1 over the far side,
Lane 1
Barry.
on the far side,
Yeah.
right. And that will be Banks, Olivia Evans, for the 6th and 7th place then, I think, going to lane 9, which is Ellie Barr. And then the sculler coming up here now should be the colours of...
That's Capital Lakes.
Yeah, Capital
Sarah
Lakes,
Bender.
Sarah
from
Bender.
Capital.
It's
So-
another one coached by Neil Smith. Good on you, Neil. You've got a couple of good entries here.
So the unofficial time in that race was 8 minutes 34.53 with Amelia Cooper. Jessica Malcolm in second. It's shown as Maxine Franz in third, but it's not quite how we saw it. So we'll wait for the official finish times to come through. But it's Amelia Cooper, Jessica Malcolm, Maxine Franz and Tony Johnson through to the finals. And the next race is actually a final. This is race 30, so this is the men's under 21. Oh no, sorry, it's the semi-final. Race 30. They're coming thick and fast today, so do bear with us when we stumble a little bit here.
Well, I think the positive side, the boat race officials, in spite of the weather, have done a magnificent job today. We will give them a special mention at the conclusion of today's racing, which is not that far away. But the racing has been right on time. This race scheduled to start right on 12, and in the rain, It's just coming up to 12:11 now, and allowing for the race. They're spot on. And what a response we're getting in this first of the semi-finals for the championship men's under-21 single scull. Look, that lineup is absolutely amazing. The progressing to the semi-final will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the important place here is the fourth place, because I think 1, 2, 3 are fairly clear at this stage of the game. Impressive row coming from Gus Laufman from Western Australia on this side of the course. And then look at Tweed, Dylan Rhodes, coached by Gary Annan. He's in lane 5, right up there with the others. 2 across, and it's the Mossman Scully. You can see the Mossman colours over there. That's Connor Hopkins. And then right alongside him, but just in front of Connor Hopkins, is the sculler. I think that's a Cairns sculler. That's the Queensland-based private club. And good on to Miller Rowe, who's coached by Scott Rowe. Obviously a relationship there, and he'll be back in 4th place. So Rowe has gone out to take the lead now. It's the Cairns sculler taking the win. 2nd place will go to lane 5. And 3rd place will go to, gee whiz, that's going to be close. I think Mossman might have got a 3rd.
Third is lane 3, which is Mossman, and 4th place would be Clancy Doe from the University of Queensland. So the winning time there, the unofficial, so it's photo finish for 4th and 5th, which is the crucial cutoff as to who goes through to the final. The winning time there by Miller Rowe was 7 minutes 20 seconds, 7.48. Followed by Dylan Rhodes from Tweed, followed by Connor Hopkins in 3rd place from Mossman. Then in the photo finish between 4th and 5th will be between Clancy Doe from the University of Queensland and Gus Laufman from Western Australia Rowing Club. And the officials have come through. So that is Clancy Doe got through. Gus Laufman from Western Australia Rowing Club missed out by 0.13 of a second. Some great racing going on here today. And on the course is race 31, the second semi-final, and again the first 4 will go through. So they have come through the 1,000 metre mark with Phineas Colley from Tasmania North Esk in the lead. Very close though, Chad Dericourt from Swan River is right behind him. He's followed by Miles Devereaux from Sydney Rowing Club. Then it's very close between Alex Rossi from Western Australia, Thomas Galloway from Sydney, and they've just come through the 1,500 metre mark. So Phineas Colley is holding his lead by 3 seconds at 1,500 metres. Chad Dericourt from Swan River coming 2nd. Alex Rossi from Western Australia, another 3 seconds behind, but very close behind is Miles Devereaux from Sydney Rowing Club and Thomas Galloway from Sydney Rowing Club. They're followed by Cameron Glover from Swan River and Liam Glacken from UTS. So in lane 4, we have Phineas Colley from North Esk. And if you look out on the field there, you can quite clear, amongst the murk of the rain, you can see Finian sitting out there in front, followed by Chad Dericourt here in lane 6 in 2nd place, but pushing him hard by the look of it is Alex Rossi in lane 5 from Western Australia with the red top there. And
Miles Devereaux from Sydney Rowing Club has moved up on the rest of the field now. I think he's moved out to about a length over the sculler. He's pushed back the North-Est sculler, who was in there in the dominant red, and then the dark colours of Western Australia and their Institute of Sport. Rossi's been pushed back, almost back to 3rd place now, and a good run that's come from Miles Devereaux, coached by Franz Infield and Donovan Check, the South African, who's done an absolutely magnificent job over at Sydney Rowing Club with the coaching and big representatives both at Australia level. And it's often been said, Sydney Rowing Club in front here in New South Wales, They're in front now in Australian rowing. Here we come now to lane 4. It will be, and that's the collie, the sculler, going across there from North Esk in first place, and followed by, I think that's lane 5, the Rossi in second place.
No, lane 6 was
Lane
second.
6 is
yeah.
it? Swan
Chad
River.
Derricourt from
They got a
Swan
second.
River. Followed by Alex Rossi from Western Australia and Miles Devereaux from Sydney Rowing Club in 4th place. So those are the 4 that will go through. That's the winning time there, 7 minutes 28.3. So that's Finian Colley from North Esk, Chad Derricourt from Swan River, Alex Rossi from Western Australia, and Miles Devereaux from Sydney Rowing Club will go through to the final. Thomas Galloway from Sydney Rowing Club, Cameron Glover from Swan River, and Liam Glacken from UTS missed out. And race 32 is underway, and they've come through the 1,000 metre mark with Lucy Coleman from Sydney University in lane 4 in the lead. She's followed by Lucy Theodore from Toowong in lane 6, followed by Kate Hall from Huon in Tasmania in lane 3. Fairly good margins between those 3, but Myla Marston from Melbourne University very close behind in lane 1. Sarah Robinson from Toowong in lane 8. Phoebe Wolfe from Mercantile in lane 2. Hannah Tippett from Mersey in lane 9. And Ella Andraina Beniamini from ANU in lane 7.
Well, as they move through that first 500 metre mark, it was
1,000
Coleman.
metres they've come through.
You've got the 1,000 metres there? Oh, yes,
Yes.
you have too. Well, it's the Sydney University sculler. I think she's done that in a time of 4:01. That's Lucy Coleman. She was the leader of the first 500. She's retained a lead. In fact, I think, just looking to see whether any scullers have made some moves, Robinson from Toowong in the centre of the course was back in 7th place, and now she's moved up into 5th place. So there's one to watch, the Toowong sculler, and she's now running 5th in lane 8 on this side of the course. So keep an eye on that. Sarah Robinson, Katramitris and Gerber and Dwyer are the coaches there. Toowong have got a good reputation in the under-23 sculling. So she could pull a blinder here. This is pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4 moving through to the final, the A final, and the rest go through to the B final. But she's been the big mover and shaker in the first 1,000 metres.
And conditions getting pretty miserable out there, Barry. The rain has certainly settled in, and the wind seems to be coming through in gusts occasionally. So just makes it a little bit harder. They've just come through the 1,500 metre mark. So Lucy Coleman from Sydney University is in the lead by a comfortable nearly 7 seconds. She's followed by Lucy Theodore from Toowong. Myla Marston from Melbourne University is some distance behind, 8.3 seconds. Then Kate Hall from Huon. And it's going to be a real race here between for 4th place. So Sarah Robinson coming through 1,500 metres was only 0.62 of a second behind Kate Hall. Phoebe Wolfe is sitting in 6th place from Mercantile. Hannah Tippett could also have a chance from Mersey. Ella Beniamini from ANU I don't think is going to be in the running today. So this will be the first 4 through to the final. And we can see them in the about the last 200 metres or 250 metres here. So across in lane 4. Oh, hang on.
I think that's Coleman still in the lead, the university colours. So it's Lucy Coleman continues to lead it. Over here, the glass in the, as you mentioned, is getting a little bit misty. It's hard to pick them out now. Getting a few raindrops on the windows here, but Sydney University sculler out of lane 4 certainly will take the win. And Right next to her is the sculler. I think that's a lane 6 sculler, and that would be the sculler from Toowong. Yellow colours of Toowong, and that would make it Lucy Theodore. So taken second place, third place right on the far side of lane 1. That's the Melbourne University sculler Mia Marston, and she will definitely take a definite third there. And fourth place, lane, I think
Three.
that's
Lane 3, which
Lane
is
three.
Kate Hall from Huon
Kate Hall
in
from Huon.
Tasmania. Sarah Robinson made a really good effort there, but has missed out on this occasion. Then followed by Phoebe Wolfe and Hannah Tippett. Winning time in that race, 8 minutes and 8.88 seconds. And coming across the line now is Andrea Beniamini. So race 33 is now on the course, which is the second heat of the women's under 23 lightweight single scull. Again, the first 4 will go through to the A final and the rest to the B final. In the lead is Celia Cowan from Adelaide Uni, followed by, as they cross the 500 metre line, followed by Verania Zilm from Adelaide in lane 5. Then Bianca Gillett from Sydney University in lane 8. Sophie Walmsley from Melbourne University in lane 7. Michaela Franz from Sydney University in lane 1. Caitlin Douglas from Toowong in lane 3. Alexandra Moylan from ANU in lane 6. And Annalise Isaacs from Nepean in lane 2. They've just crossed the 1,000 metre mark. Verania Zilm has moved up to first place. Bianca Gillett from Sydney Uni has moved up from third place. So she's currently sitting second. Celia Cowan from Adelaide has dropped back. Then Sophie Walmsley, Michaela Franz, Caitlin Douglas and Alexandra Moylan. So by the 1,000 metre mark they've shuffled around a little bit. Still the same 4 in the lead, which is Verania Zilm, Bianca Gillett, Celia Cowan and Sophie Walmsley.
That Alexandra Moylan that was geared to row in lane 6. I think Moylan was the winner of the under 21 category at last year's New South Wales State Championships, and she has withdrawn from the under 23 lightweight single. There's a pity about that, but anyway, that's what happens.
It shows on our run sheet that she's withdrawn, Barry, but she...
no, she has withdrawn. That's on the run sheet. She's withdrawn, but she was the under 21 lightweight sculler from last year, I think it was, New South Wales.
Okay, but it looks like she's rowing by the times taken.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, she is down there at lane 7. Well, that's an interesting one. She shows up on the sheets as having been withdrawn, but now she looks like she's racing again, and that gives a full field of 7, I think. So there's no withdrawals coming out of this one. This is race number 33 on your programs. It's the Championship Women's Under 23 Lightweight Single, sponsored by Bentley's. The top 4 moving through to the final. And if you have a look at this one, Bianca Gillett, I'm just trying to check out now for race 33, the progress for race 33 through the 1,500 metre mark was Zilm from Adelaide. Now,
so they've held their placings pretty much from the 1,000 metre. Verania Zilm is in lane 5 in the lead, then followed by Bianca Gillett from Sydney University, Celia Cowan from Adelaide, and Sophie Walmsley from Melbourne University. They will seem to be, at this stage, the first 4 that will go through to the final. take a good run by Michaela Franz to push through, but one never knows. So Michaela's out there in lane 1 over on the far side. But you can clearly see Verania Zilm in lane 5 out in the middle, looking very comfortable as she comes through, holding off Bianca Gillett over here in lane 8.
Well, it's the Adelaide sculler from the South Australian Sports Institute, Verania Zilm, coached by Jason Lane, over there in lane 5. She leads at the present moment and leads quite comfortably. The second place sculler would come across here to lane 8. That's Bianca Gillett from Sydney University in second place. And third place, as you can see, well, a good race going on for third between two scullers. The leading of them looks like it might be Cohen of Adelaide. And then if you have a look on this side of the course, the one next to Melbourne University, that's Walmsley. So that could be the top 4 at the present moment. We'll have a look. And it's lane 5. That is lane 5 takes the win. And that is certainly Zilm of Adelaide. Second place will go to lane 8, Gillett of Sydney University. And third place then will go to
Sophie Walmsley from Melbourne University. Fifth to Michaela Franz. Sixth to Caitlin Douglas from Toowong. And the winning time in that race was 8 minutes .43, which was a full 8 seconds faster than the previous heat.
Might just go through those placings again. No doubt about Zilm and Gillett for first and second, but it was the Celia Cullen from Adelaide University back in third place. Fourth place to Melbourne University sculler, that was Walmsley. And then from Sydney University, Michaela Franz back to Toowong's Caitlin Douglas, followed by Alexandra Moylan, the former under-21 state champion for New South Wales, and then followed by Annalise Isaacs. And I think race 33 has now been declared official.
And race 34, before we've hardly caught our breath, has come through the 1500 metre mark. And now this is the men's under 23 lightweight single, sponsored by Bentley's, and it's the first heat. Again, the first 4 go through to the A final and the rest to the B final. First to come through the 1500 metres was Connor Ryan from North Esk. Then Michael McRae from UTS, Eric Lowe from Mercantile in lane 4, so the other two lanes 6 and 5, so get an arrowhead in the middle we expect. Sam Ostendorp from Banks in lane 3, Miles Matheson from Toowong in lane 8, Austin Dibble from Toowong in lane 2, Jack Message from UTS in lane 7, and Liam McCoy from the University of Queensland over in lane 1. And looking down on the field now as they come into the last 250 metres, it is, Connor Ryan seems to be out in front. Well, I don't, Connor Ryan from North Esk is sitting out in front. I'm just having trouble with some of the colours there, but well, you can clearly see the UTS.
On his immediate right, which would be second place, is the colours of UTS. That would mean Michael McRae, who was in the Penrith Cup crew for New South Wales last year, and no doubt in the squad for this year as well. But I think we're going to have to move one of these screens away. It's very difficult to see once they go behind the screens, but you're quite right. Connor Ryan from North Esk, Tasmanian sculler, in first place. Michael McRae in second place, one of nature's gentlemen. Third place right alongside him, lane 4, that's Mercantile. Eric Lowe for third. And fourth place then, across will go to the colours of Banks Sam Austin Drop, coached by William Bill Raven. And that will be the top 4 there. Fifth place will go to lane 8, that's Toowong's Matheson in fifth. And there could be a photo for 6th and 7th anyway. We'll just check up on that, race 34. And they've given 6th place to Douglas, then to race 34. Yeah, will be a photo.
No.
Photo for 6th and 7th. And then 8th place, of course, will go to McCoy of the University of Queensland.
And again, we have the next race is rapidly coming down the course, race 35. This is the second heat of the men's under 21 lightweight single scull. First 4 through to the final. Crossing 1,000 metre mark in the lead was Oscar McGuinness from Adelaide, followed by Tom Williamson in lane 6 from Toowong, Hamish Harding in lane 5 from ANU, Jack Bowser from Toowong in lane 2, David Carter from Toowong in lane 3, Matthew Reedy from Toowong in lane 8, Wyatt Batt from Sydney University in lane 7, and Daniel Webb from Sydney University in lane 1. So we have a lot of Toowong rowers in this race. Just waiting to see their placings as they come through the 1,500 metres.
Yeah, well, as you might expect, with this, you've got the top 3 there at this stage of the game. I think they're through into the second 1,000 metres. And you've got from Adelaide and South Australian Sports Institute, McGuinness holding the lead over there in lane 4. Next to him, 2 across rather, would be second place. It looks like it might be Williamson from the Queensland Academy of Sport. And then Hamish Harding in that sandwich in lane 5 is back in 3rd place. I think they're the top 3 at the present moment. And this we're looking at race number 35. So certainly the Adelaide Sculler McGuinness has gone through in first place at the 1,500 metre mark, and second place has gone to Williamson. 3rd place is going to Hamish Harding from the ANU, and they're followed by Carter about a half a length behind. Sydney University almost about a length and a half. That's Wyatt Batt from Sydney University, and then right across to the far side of the course out of lane 2 it's Jack Bowser from Queensland, followed by his mate also from Toowong in Queensland, Matt Reedy. And then in 8th place on this side of the course and well back right out of contention is the Sydney University Sculler. So fairly close racing in the middle there of the course, but the race leader certainly is Oscar McGuinness, race leader, and about, I think it's about 250 metres to go, is that right?
Yes.
250 metres to go. McGuinness leading, coached by Jason Lane in lane 4, and in second place the Toowong Scully, you can see in the yellow colours of Toowong, and in the middle there is Hamish Harding. And Hamish Harding, you can have a look on the far side, 3 from the far side, that's Carter from Toowong, could put in a last minute stand, but I think the top 3 there, but it's a place for 4th that becomes important here, and they're on both sides of the course. Have a look at the Sydney University Sculler, Wyatt Batt. This is the under 23 lightweight single. It's Batt from this side of the course in lane 7, and on the far side right over there you might see the Sculler. Is that Adelaide? Oh no, that's Toowong Sculler. Carter from Toowong over there, so it's fairly close racing. He's just losing a little bit of water, which might make it difficult for him to take out that very important 4th place. But from lane 4, it's Oscar McGuinness will take the win, and second place will go to lane 6, that's Tom Williamson. That's the way they've been going all the way down the course. And 3rd place then for race number 35, it goes to Hamish Harding in the centre, and 4th place then will go to David Carter from Toowong, and 5th place will go to Batt of Sydney University, followed several lengths now, about 3 lengths back to Bowser of Toowong. And then we've got Sydney University, that's Dan Webb, and he'd be about almost 2 lengths behind Bowser. So and then finally a length and a half back, Reedy of Toowong back in 8th place.
So that heat was the official time with 7 minutes 16.43, nearly 5 seconds faster than the previous heat.
Yeah, it was a good heat and a good win by McGuinness. Yeah. By Jason Lane.
And race 36 is now underway, and they've just crossed through the 500 metre mark with Morrison McIntyre in lane 4 leading, but very closely followed by Horton Patton in lane 6 from Sydney University.
Well, this is the big one for the selectors today for the women's. This is the women's elite pair, race sponsored by Bentley's. It's the first of the heats, with 1, 2, 3, 4 moving through to the A final. Now, just looking at the lineup of the pairs there, Karina, Simpson and Dent. Now, the other one, Scull Morrison and Annabelle McIntyre, have been together for quite some time, a combination of Fremantle and Mercantile crews, and they won. I think they competed in the Spall Boats regatta on this course 2 weeks ago, and they took that out. They won that. Second place, I think, went to Popper and Banks, but they're in the next heat. It's absolutely amazing. These are all, most of these women, in fact, all of these women, with the exception of the Simpson and Depth crew on the far side of the course, are from the National Training Centre up here at Penrith. So Morrison and McIntyre would have to be race favourites, even though this is the heat, first of the heats. Aldersea and Bronwyn Cox. There's been a change, as you see, from the partnerships that have happened, because I think Aldersea and Horton were racing together. Now that's changed. They're testing out now the group between, or the pair between Patton and Horton, and Gotch now racing with Wilson from Tamar in lane 7. So 5 starters in this, or rather, 5 starters in this event. The 4 crews closest to the grandstand are from the National Training Centre. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 to go through to the final. And the challenge coming from Sydney University, I think, with Simpson and Deeks, to see if they can move into that top 4. But absolutely incredible amount of people from the women's training centre, their big race on today.
So the after the 4 that go through, they go through to the A final, and the others through to the B final.
Yeah. See, in this way, you've got representatives who came out of, I think it was McIntyre, no, Morrison was certainly a silver medal winning at Worlds in the women's coxless pair. I think you've also got, I can see names there that are familiar with the women's 8, that I think got a silver, and then in the women's coxless 4. And the women's coxless 4, I'm just wondering whether that was Aldersea, might have been in that one. Women's coxless 4 racing with Bronwyn Cox.
So they've just come through the 1500 metre mark, and Morrison and McIntyre have a fairly clear lead over Patton and Horton. They're then followed through by Aldersea and Cox, and fourth going across is Gotch and Wilson. Then there's quite a gap back to Simpson and Drenth. So the field seems to be spreading out quite widely as they approach the 250 metre mark, and you can see Morrison and Gotch over there in lane 4 with a fairly clear lead now. They're going to be followed by Patton and Horton over here in lane 6.
Well, this group coming down here of Morrison and McIntyre, that's in that pair, as you mentioned before, in the big green National Training Centre colours, a magnificent performance, well matched. Their record together as a combination would be unsurpassed. They're a fantastic pair that have done so well in trials. They've kept them together. Obviously, they're the marker for selections here in this particular classification at boat. Morrison from Mercantile, and from Fremantle, Annabelle McIntyre. You can see the class that we have there. Full length blades dropping in vertically, still keeping on the power. And from lane 4, they go across to take the win, and they'll move certainly through to the A final. And then not far behind them, well, as you can see, perhaps some distance behind them. Yeah. Lane 6 will be the next one. That's Georgia Patton and Genevieve Horton, who was an Australian representative for some years, started a career at Pymble Ladies College, and she'll be in second place.
Third will be lane 5, which is Aldersea and Cox. Fourth, lane 7, Gotch and Wilson. And missing out and going through to the B final will be Simpson and Trent from Sydney University.
Well, as we said, Simpson and Kenshin, good try from Sydney University, but when you're up against the National Training Centre women, it's a big call, and the top 4 women, and would be rather embarrassing if one of those out of the top 4 didn't make it and hadn't made it into the A final. There'd probably be some questions asked, but they've done extremely well. But there's been a bit of fiddling around with combinations that have raced before, and obviously they're looking to see the best combination that they can get. It's a big event in the Championship Women's Elite Pair, and of course one of those races in which Australia has become eligible to race in the Olympic Games.
And the winning time in that race was 7 minutes 03.13. Race 37, the second heat of the women's elite pair, is coming down the course. They've come through the 1,000-metre mark with Popper and Stefan from Melbourne in the lead. But very close behind them is Tinapple and Edmonds from the Commercial and Swan River combination. They were followed through by Saunders and Rowe, so Leah Saunders and Georgie Rowe. Then followed through by Sarah Hoare and Molly Goodman. They're in lane 5, and in lane 7, Charlotte Hill and Olivia Jones, so Western Australian crew.
Well, of course, you've had certainly Edmonds from the National Training Centre competed in the Women's 8, which won the silver at World Championships, a big contender there. And I think Popper was in the same crew. Lucy Stefan, of course, gained second place a couple of weeks ago up here at the Sprint Regatta in the partnership there. So Sarah Hoare and Molly Goodman. Sarah Hoare, I think, was in the Women's Coxers 4, and Molly Goodman, all the way from Adelaide, was in the world's silver medal winning 8. And the National Training Centre of Leah Saunders, also from the Women's 8. And Georgie Rowe from UTS. So it's a great lineup of Australian representatives. They're absolutely fantastic that they're racing here in the pair today. We didn't see them in the women's elite single sculls. I think that's probably the pair more important.
But as they came through the 1,500 metre mark there, Popper and Stefan managed to increase their margin by a couple of seconds over Tinapple and Edmonds. They're now into the last 250 metres, or just coming up to the last 250 metres here. So that is Rosie Popper and Lucy Stefan from the Melbourne Uni Composite. The second boat from the far side, you can see, is in the clear lead. Very hard to call which boat is going to come second, third and fourth here. But it looks to be Sarah Hoare and Molly Goodman from Adelaide. But they're being very closely pushed over the far side there by Lily Tinapple and Jacinta Edmonds, who were ahead of them as they came through the 1,500 metre mark. And they look to be a slight, about half canvas ahead at the moment. So that's going to be Popper and Stefan will cross the line first. Ooh. Hoare and Goodman have just pulled through ahead of Tinapple and Edmonds. So, and Saunders and Rowe have come in fourth. And then at some distance back to Charlotte Hill and Olivia Jones from Western Australia.
Yeah, in the last 100 metres or so, a big move came from Hoare and Goodman to move up into second place, and they went past the crew of Tinapple and Edmonds, who had been running in, pushed them back to third, but they had been right up there in second place. But a good win in the second heat of the Championship Women's Elite Pair.
Absolutely, and I called that on my experience of having done a bit of timekeeping. it was a photo finish, but the call I made was correct. So that's Popper and Stefan first, Hoare and Goodman second, Tin Apple and Edmonds third, and Saunders and Rowe fourth. They will go through to the final, and Hill and Jones will go through to the B final. Race coming down the course now, that has just passed through the 500 metre mark, is the Women's Elite Lightweight Single Scull, Heat 1. I'm a bit unsure as to what this means. It says progress to the A final, but it doesn't say the numbers. So your experience will outweigh mine on that one, Barry.
Oh, you're doing very well. I think it would normally be at the top 4 going through, because I think we've got Heat 1. Oh, well, both of them are down to Heat 1. Well, let's assume that the champion women's elite single scull race 39 was race 39 on the earlier program that came out was the heat number 2. So I think we'll get.
Given it's elite, my guess is we'll have an A final and a B final.
No, I don't think so.
No.
This one, we'll wait and see what happens. But anyway, these are the progression to the A final. You're probably right.
So they've come through the 1,000 metre mark with Sarah Pound from UTS in the lead, but very close. She and Georgia, photo between her and Georgia Nesbitt from Huon, followed by Eve Muir from Huon, then Annika Reardon from ANU in lane 3, Lizzie Trelaw from Sydney University in lane 4, Megan Hester from Mercantile in lane 6, Louise Simmons from Riverway in Queensland in lane 9 and 7th coming across, and it is a full field, so there's a couple further back. So just waiting, we could do with some windscreen wipers here on our windows now.
Yeah, I think this.
Look up the field, so we're relying on what we see on our screens.
Yeah, I think that's the best. I think I'd be more relying on what you see on the water, if you can see that. But Sarah Pound was initially up for in the early stage, in the early draw, going back several days ago, representing the UTS. She was in lane 4, I think it was, but that's been changed around, and I think that Owen Nix has had a very, very big job to do to try to sort out some late changes in the program, but it's been a wonderful program. This one here, Sarah Pound, of course, is a lightweight champion from the old Haberfield, UTS Haberfield Club here in New South Wales. Raced at lightweight in the world's double sculls, and has been a champion. And also, I think Georgia Nesbitt from Ewan, also in the lineup. I think that is also right alongside her. They were racing in separate races or in separate heats. Now they've been brought together in the final draw. That's an interesting one.
And Barry, they've just run through the 1,500 metres mark, and there's 0.01 of a second between them both.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because somebody deliberately has changed that, so Nesbitt and Pound are racing right in the middle as Megan Hester. This is a very interesting combination, and a master stroke to now to get them into the same heat. So Nesbitt from Ewan and Sarah Pound from UTS, and two remarkable women who have done so well. And you can see them now coming through the doom and gloom, and they're the race leaders. Right in the middle, you can see Mercantile well back. That's Megan Hester. In fact, these two women have really blitzed the field here. And the names not to forget, you've got Jera Petritis, who's been racing for quite a number of years from UTS. Riverway's Louise Simons. On the far side, Ewan still there in the mix with 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, to go through the A final. And Georgina Masters also from UTS. And I think Georgina Masters could now be helping out with the New South Wales Rowing Administration down there. And then Reardon from the ANU. But let's concentrate now on what's going on with these two scullers. Nesbitt on the far side and Sarah Pound from UTS on this side of the course. And two remarkable women both I think in the Australian lightweight double sculls. Pounds, and in fact I'm pretty sure that Pounds rode with Nesbitt in the lightweight women's double sculls. So it's pretty cruel to put them now in singles alongside one another. But on this occasion, Nesbitt will take the win. But only, they go across the line.
I think we'll see a photo on that one.
What a fantastic event. The drama of what's going on at the front of this race, absolutely unbelievable. Both these women competing at World Championships together in a double, and they've changed the draw to bring them together here, one against the other. And we'll wait and see what happens in that one. It's a photo finish for first and second. That was an unbelievable race.
And quite some distance back, 21 seconds back to Eve Muir from Huron.
Yours, yep.
Crossing the line in fourth place was Annika Reardon. Fifth place, Lizzie Trelaw from Sydney University. Sixth place, Megan Hester from Mercantile. Seventh, Louise Simons from Riverway in Queensland. And we seem to have lost a couple of rowers out there.
Well, we're still waiting on the photo results down there, but that was a most interesting event. Nesbitt and Pound end up after a redraw in the same heat, heat number 1.
So the official time, and the winner was Georgia Nesbitt, who beat Sarah Pound by 0.11 of a second.
That's unbelievable. 0.11. Well, I think that's one of the most amazing races of the day. Over 2,000 metres, 2 women who rode together representing Australia at World Championship level. They've broken them up, one against the other, and 0.1 second separating the two of them in a heat. Unbelievable.
And race 39, the championships men's elite lightweight single scull, heat 1. It's again just says progresses through to the A final, but the cross the line first, or cross the 1500 metre mark first, was Red Matthews from Mercantile. Then followed by Sean Murphy, very close behind from Mossman. And hot on his heels is Hamish Perry from Toowong. Then very close, Alec Patterson from Bucks. James Crouch from Banks. Then there's a gap back through to Andrew Brown from Mossman. Mac Russell, University of Queensland. William Clark from UTS. And Morgan Hodgson from Uni of Queensland. And in the last couple of 100 metres here, and it's going to be a very close call, I think, with this one. Red Matthews here over in lane 7, rowing very hard, looks to have a clear lead now. The Mossman rower across the far side, Sean Murphy, looks to be coming in second place, but the Hamish Perry and Alex Patterson pushing very hard to try to catch them. Comfortable win there by Red Matthews, about to cross the line. Then followed by Sean Murphy from Mossman, Hamish Perry from Toowong, Alex Patterson from Bucks, James Crouch from Banks. The unofficial time, 7:03.25. About to cross the line now, Andrew Brown from Mossman, followed by William Clark from UTS, Mac Russell from the Uni of Queensland, and Morgan Hodgson from the University of Queensland will cross the line shortly. Some fantastic racing there at the lightweight level too, Barry.
Yes, it was very good racing. I'm just looking for that explanation for the... it was simply a case of, and I missed that, simply a case of combining 2 heats and running them as a final in the championship women's elite lightweight single scull. I was using an old draw. In fact, one of the first draws that came out that showed there were 2 heats in that, but obviously they've consolidated the heats and we've ended up with Nesbitt. So no great changes being done there, as that's the way it goes. Consolidated race, and that would make it the top 4 going into the final.
So we have race 40 coming along. This is the women's under 19 single scull semi-final. So the first 4 will go through to the final and the rest will be eliminated. They've already passed through the 500 metre mark, but I'll run through the run sheet. In lane 1 we have Danica Free from Griffith Uni, Surfers Paradise. In lane 2, Olivia Cook from Rockhampton Grammar. In lane 3, Lucy Hope from Toowong. In lane 4, Grace Cypher from Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 5, Sophie Gerber from Toowong. In lane 6, Meg Cartwright from Corio Bay. Lane 7, Sarah Fard from UTS. And in lane 8, Harriet Wallace from ANU. And they've just gone through the 1,000 metre mark, and Sophie Gerber is in the lead, followed by Grace Cypher, then Lucy Hope and Danica Free. So these look to be the first 4, but it could change in this the second 1,000 metres of this race. Sarah Fard is in contention. She was only two seconds behind. Then Meg Cartwright. So as they come out of the gloom of the rain, watch for Sophie Cyber in lane 5 and Sophie Gerber in lane 5 and Grace Cypher in lane 4. Then Lucy Hope in lane 3. So we should have an arrowhead with those first 3 rowers.
Well, just having a look at that, because there was a consolidation for the elite lightweight scull for women, and it becomes a final, and the top 4 there move through to that final, then we should make sure we've got the first 4 placings there, because whether they make a presentation today, as it is a final, and a similar case with race number 39, that will go to the A final. So that explains that, and we have the top 4 for that event as well for race 39. We now move to race 40 coming up, but if we can do a check to see whether there will be any presentations for the lightweight single scull and the men's lightweight single scull, elite lightweight single scull. You just check that out. Keep an eye on the racing and I'll find out whether they're looking.
Will do. So the semi-final of the women's under 19 single scull. They've just come through the 1,500 metres with Sophie Gerber in the lead, but Grace Cypher from Sydney pushing her hard, then followed by Lucy Hope and Danica Free. So those appear to be, they will be, if they hold their placings, they'll be the first 4 to go through to the final. So we can see they're approaching the last, they're about 300 metres out at the moment. And you can see Sophie Gerber in lane 5 in the dark boat, out of the middle there, and to her left, or sorry, to next lane across is Grace Cypher from Sydney. You can see the light blue zooty of the Sydney Rowing Club. Lucy Hope in the yellow from Toowong, in the red bow, I think it's red, sitting there. And across to the other side, Danica Free from Griffith University in the red top and the white boat. Sophie Gerber from Toowong looking very comfortable there, not rating particularly high. Well, they don't need to, it is a semi-final. So Sophie Gerber and Grace Cypher taking it fairly quietly, but they're both comfortably into the final there. I would say Sophie is going to cross the line first, followed by Grace Cypher. Across in lane 3, Lucy Hope from Toowong. Again, not pushing too hard. She cemented her place. And over in lane 1, we have Danica Free. So those will be the first 4 to go through. Then crossing the line, we have Sarah Fard from UTS, Meg Cartwright from Corio Bay, Olivia Cook from Rockhampton Grammar, and Harriet Wallace from ANU. The winning time in that race, 8 minutes and 9.93 seconds. So race 41 is underway. They've come through the 1,000 metre mark. This is the second semi-final, or the semi-final number 2 of the women's under-19 single scull. So again, the first 4 across the line. We have Eddie Brown from Nepean over in lane 1, Lily Gavin from Sydney in lane 2, Sophia Tully from Toowong in lane 3, Zara Collinson from Sydney University in lane 4, Laura Gourley from UTS in lane 5, Sarah Abrams from Sydney in lane 6, Noni McCallum from LOS, I'm not quite sure what that is, in lane 7, and Sophie Coleman from Griffith University in lane 8. They've come through the 1,000 metre mark with Laura Gourley in a comfortable 10-second lead. She's followed by Sophia Tully. Then it gets very close. Lily Gavin, Sophia Coleman and Zara Collison all fighting it out. Noni McCallum is still in the mix there. Sarah Abrams and Eddie Brown were further back in the field. So just waiting for them to come through the 1,500 and we'll be able to give you an update on that. Race 42, the men's
Just going back to race 41 for a minute, I noticed that there had been some changes in the middle of the course, and for race number 41 they're now moving through the 1,500 metre mark with Gourley still in the lead, followed by Lily Gavin a fair way behind, but Collison has moved up now into 3rd place, was originally back in 5th, and likewise Gavin was originally running 3rd, she's moved up into 2nd place. So some big changes going on, but I don't think they're going to be able to catch that 14-second gap. That's about a good 4 lengths of clear water between those two crews. Back to Tully, McCallum, Coleman and Abrams and then Brown, that's the order. But a good run coming from Lily Gavin from Sydney, and also Collison from Sydney University have moved up from the centre of the course, now up to take out 2 and 3 placings. That's pushed back Tully. So good racing going on in race number 41. That's the Championship Women's Single Scull and the second of the semi-finals.
So Laura Gourley from UTS with a comfortable lead. You can see her sitting out in front of the field there, looking very comfortable. The competition's going to be for, the competition's going to be to get through to the final. So the next 3 really fighting it out. That's Lily Gavin, Zara Collison, Sophia Tully and Noni McCallum. Over the far side there, in lane 2 is Lily Gavin from Sydney University, Sydney Rowing Club, looking to hold her 2nd place. Then here in lane 4, Zara Collison from Sydney University is going to hold her 3rd place. Could be a photo finish for 4th, although I'm putting my money on lane 7 here, which is Sarah Field, who's managed to push through and has come through ahead of, no, I got that wrong. So Danica free. No, sorry. We have Laura Gorley won that very comfortably in 8 minutes and 5 seconds. 15 seconds back to Lily Gavin from Sydney Rowing Club. Then Zara Collison in third place from Sydney University, and Nonnie McCallum from South Australia in fourth place. So those four will go through to the final. They were followed by Sophia Tully, Sophie Coleman in sixth place, Sarah Abrams in seventh, and Edie Brown from the PN in eighth. And the next race is race 42, which is the heat one of the men's elite pair. The first three will go through to the A final, then 4, 5 and 6 to the B final.
Well, we'll go through the lineup there. You've got 3 heats in the men's pair, and of course that's what a wonderful way they finished up. The men here started off this morning's program with the elite singles, and now they're racing in the pairs. They've had a very good day of it, a very big day of it, and a very important day for all of them. We won't go through their backgrounds. All we can say is that most of them, in fact I think just about all of them, they're National Training Centre representatives. In the first of the heats in the Championship Men's Elite pair, we have Paige and Ellis from Melbourne University. Then from the National Training Centre, the Adelaide crew of Josh Booth from Melbourne University and Alexander Hill. From Mercantile, Wolf and Canham. Also representing the National Training Centre is the Mercantile Composite crew in lane 5. That's Purnell and Whitcomb. From Melbourne University, the composite combination, also representing the National Training Centre, you've got Moore of Sydney Rowing Club, Keenan of Melbourne University. Then you've got Cooper and Mitchell from Melbourne University and the University of Queensland in lane 8. This side of the course with Doe and Sullivan.
So they've just come through the 1500 metre mark, Barry, with Booth and Hill in the lead, but they're very close challenge there with Purnell and Whitcomb. They're followed by Moore and Keenan from Melbourne Uni and Sydney Uni, and then followed by Wolf and Canham. The race is on for first and second place here, so and between Booth and Hill and Purnell and Whitcomb. Moore and Keenan are still in the running, being only 3 seconds behind. We can see them though in the last 250 metres here now.
Adelaide Composite and the National Training Centre lead with Booth and Hill back in second place. Right in the centre of the course out of lane 5, it's Purnell and Whitcomb combined together, probably about a canvas behind them. And then back in third place, the composite crew, also National Training Centre, Moore and Keenan. Now they are the only 3 National Training Centre crews there, and as you would expect, former Australian representatives in 1, 2, 3 places. Exceptional. It looks like they've taken the pace off a little bit. These would be tired boys at the end of the day. And it looks like they've almost settled down now. That's the places they will take up. As you can see, Adelaide Composite taking the win. They go through to the A final. Remain to go through to the B final. Second place to Purnell and Whitcomb. And third place then to Moore and Keenan. They're very, very tired boys. Very, very tired.
So it's the first 3 through of those crews. So that's Booth and Hill from Adelaide, Melbourne. Purnell and Whitcomb from Mercantile Sydney Uni. And Moore and Keenan from Melbourne Uni and Sydney. And the winning time in that race was 6 minutes 37.86, unofficial.
Well, Mercantile and Melbourne University and the University of Queensland certainly pushed the National Training Centre crews. They're really tired boys, and they've done a magnificent job working very hard in front of the national selectors. So there's a big one there for them, as we saw with the women in the Championship Women's Elite pair earlier on today. One more race to go on this morning's program, or on the day's program too, and that's the men's elite pair, race 43.
two more
Two
races.
more races, yeah. We've got 3 heats. 2 more races. We had 3 at the National Training Centre Cruise in that one. And it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3 in this one, racing with Coombs and Masters combined together, Hargraves and O'Brien, and then the other crew in lane 7, 2 out from the grandstand will be Donald and Backer, one from Mercantile, the other one from Commercial.
And they've come through the 500 metre mark, so with Hargraves and O'Brien in a lead of only about, well, a second. That's quite a lot of the 500 metres, but very close following that back to Holt and Lavery, Coombs, Masters, and Donald and Backer. They could easily shuffle around as they come further down the course here. And we can see them on the screen now. That is, I think, lane 5. No, okay, they've just come through the 1,000 metre mark. Sorry, it's lane 6 with Hargraves and O'Brien. Come through in 3 minutes 13. They're followed through by Coombs and Masters. Then Holt and Lavery. Donald and Backer 4th. So very close running between 4th, 5th, and 4th and 5th places. Third, 4th and 5th.
Well, no changes with the National Training Centre Cruise. Just looking to see Commercial Composite crew there, which is, I think they're in running in 4th place, I think, at this stage of the game. So the top 4, there are 1, 2, 3. That Melbourne University UTS from the Institute of Sport with Holt and Lavery in it, and not doing too badly. They were placed 3rd. Just looking to see they're still holding on to 3rd as they moved into the 1,000 metres. That's an interesting combination there, and they're running a 3rd. So they're breaking up the party at the present moment for the National Training Centre Cruise. Still in the lead is Hargraves and O'Brien, the Sydney University combination. And then back in 2nd place, you've got Coombs and Masters, who are doing a spectacular job. They were at the 1,000 metre mark, keeping up with those. And they're also a National Training Centre crew. Then 3rd place.
They've just come through the 1,500 metre, Barry.
And how's UTS going there with Melbourne Uni?
Sydney, Hargraves and Bryan are in the lead by with 5 seconds. Then Coombs and Masters. Then it's only 0.93 of a second back to Donald and Backer. And for 4th place, only 1.44 of a second back to Holt and Lavery. Then there's a big gap of 10 seconds to Pensini and Davidson from Western Australia.
Well,
so
simply put, that's the National Training Centre crews have moved out to the top 3 places, and a good run in that first half from Holt and Lavery to hold on to it. They were originally 3rd, and they've been pushed back to 4th place here, so they'll be working very hard. But thank goodness that the National Training Centre combinations get up there in the top placings at this stage.
And we can now see them. So the Hargraves and O'Brien over here in lane 6. Looking very comfortable, giving a final push there to hold off the UTS crew over there. But the Commercial Mercantile crew here in lane 7, Donald and Backer, is pushing hard through, but I think UTS is going to hold them off. Over the far side there, the UTS combo with Sydney Uni in lane 3 is pushing hard, but I think they're going to come through in 4th place. But so it's the first 3 through to the A final.
Harves and O'Brien, then it's back to Coombs and Masters,
Yeah,
so 4. Yeah.
So Hargreaves and O'Brien first across, then followed by Coombs and Masters and Donald and Backer in 3rd place. So those are the first 3 that will go through to the A final. the next three will be through to the B final. So that's Holt and Lavery, Pensini and Davidson from the University of Western Australia, and Kirk and Roseman from the University of Queensland. The winning time in that race, 6 minutes 35. And heat 3 is underway. So again, the same thing. This is the men's elite pair. First three will go through to the A final, 4, 5 and 6 through to the B final. In lane 2 we have Marcus Britt and Will O'Shannessy from Sydney Uni. In lane 3 we have Sam Hardy and Joshua Hicks from Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 4, Shane Mulvaney and Max Fisher from Melbourne University. In lane 5, Jack Kibble and Benjamin Pincus from Toowong. In lane 6, Spencer Turren and Alex Purnell from Sydney Uni Composite. And in lane 7, Nick Lavery and Robert Black from Mossman and the Composite crew, Mossman UTS crew. You were talking about Spencer Turren when he was doing his single. He's now gone out to race this race, Barry. So perhaps his priority has been on this one to not let his racing dit partner down. So they've come through the 1,000 metre mark with Lavery and Black in the lead, followed by Britt and O'Shannessy, the Sydney Uni crew, then followed by Hicks and Hardy from Sydney Rowing Club. It's then nearly 6.5 seconds back to the 4th place. So it seems that the first three crews will comfortably get through to the final, or to the A final. Remember, and then 4, 5 and 6 will go through to the B final. We're about to come through 1,500 metres, so we get a clearer picture as that happens. We can see them in the gloom of the rain out there.
Well, now, just a reminder to those crews that, or the first, second and third that competed in races 38 and 39, they were consolidated events. One was for the men's lightweight championship, the other for the women's lightweight championship in the single sculls. They were both classified as finals, and therefore presentations will be made tomorrow. So we'll have to fit that in with your racing commitments tomorrow. But don't forget, 2 presentations, or 2 final presentations that follow on from today, transferred to tomorrow. And I know that the crowd would look forward to seeing you come round to receive your trophies.
So the gap closed as they came through the 1,500 metres there, Barry. Still Lavery and Black in the lead. Now followed closely by Hardy and Hicks and Britt and O'Shannessy, really giving them a run for their money as well. So too hard to call at this stage. You can see Lavery and Black here in lane 7, close to the stand with the UTS Mossman combination. Across the other side there in lane 3, Hardy and Hicks from Sydney Rowing Club, and then over in lane 2, the Sydney Uni of Britt and O'Shannessy. So those will be the first 3 to go through. A bit hard to call a winner, but I think it's going to be clearly Lavery and Black. They've just put on a bit of extra power to make sure they cross the line first. Hardy and Hicks from Sydney, about to cross the line in 2nd place, and the Sydney Uni crew of Britt and O'Shannessy in 3rd. Then through to the B final will be the combination of Turren and Purnell. In lane 5, the Toowong crew, by the look of the colours, of Kibble and Pincus, and in lane 4, Mulvaney and Fisher from Melbourne University. So I think that concludes the racing on our program.
No, well, that concludes the racing today. No doubt the selectors will be talking and questions will be being raised, and it's been a very interesting Friday, an introduction to the championships, which really are on tomorrow. Today we've had heats and semi-finals, and we should wish a big thank to all those volunteers who have turned up this morning. And there are a great list of them that are covering the 3 days, so we won't bother going through the list, but congratulations to the boat race officials. The last race on the program scheduled for 1:10, and that was the last race on today's program, and events finished around about the 1:20 mark. So it's an excellent timetable, well done, well thought out. It's been a great regatta for the first day of the New South Wales Championships, and apart from thanking all the sponsors, who no doubt will be up here in big numbers tomorrow, we might just mention that I think Bentley's normally turn up to the New South Wales Championships. They will be here tomorrow. We should remember those. The Insurance Group, they're also the insurance broker for Rowing New South Wales. People that have worked up there or setting up shop in the regatta shop, the Pontoon Sports, Croker Oars and Bond Rowing. That's the new live stream partner. Congratulations to John Meekings for the work he's done with the live streaming, and Lakeside Catering for both spectators and competitors alike. They're open tomorrow from 11 o'clock till 3 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday for food and refreshments. Rowing New South Wales would also like to mention the work of Wires and the local Castlereagh Rural Fire Service during the devastating fire season which we've had. You can donate to that, and we'll give you some more information on that too, on that tomorrow.